course, the Grey Cup to be played right here at BC Place. And the Lions, long since out of playoff contention, may be happy the season is finally over. Certainly happy they've ended it with a win. At the outset tonight, we said Saskatchewan was a long shot to finish in second place, and now all bets are off because with this loss, Saskatchewan will finish third. There will be no playoff game at Taylor Field. In a matter of hours, we'll be in Winnipeg where the Bombers and Ticats complete their regular schedules. If the Ticats win, they're in the playoffs. And first up for CBC Sports tomorrow is the Australian Grand Prix from Adelaide at 9 o'clock across the country. We'll talk to you again tomorrow from Winnipeg.
The key to this game.
The Toronto Argos have a number of impressive quarterbacks, and Ricky Foggy is one of them. He takes center stage today as the Argos begin the playoffs against the Ottawa Rough Riders, who in Damon Allen have a pretty good quarterback of their own. It is Ottawa at Toronto in the Sky Dome in the East semifinal as the road to the Grey Cup continues. This picture was taken 5 years ago. It was the last time the Rough Riders were in the playoffs. Ottawa's quarterback then was J.C. Watts, and he led the Riders in a semifinal game against the Montreal Alouettes. Little did the Riders know that as the BC Lions celebrated a Grey Cup victory that year, they'd have to wait another 4 seasons to get this close to the Cup with a berth in the playoffs. Ottawa and Toronto had a tune-up game last week, and Bruce Holmes, the CFL's leading tackler, tuned out. He was ejected and subsequently suspended for a late hit on Toronto's quarterback. The Riders will do without Holmes today. The last time Toronto hoisted the Grey Cup was 1983. If the Argos do it this year, it'll be because of 2 major weapons. All-purpose back Mike Clemens with 3,300 yards is one of them. The other is receiver extraordinaire Darryl Smith, who's had a league record 20 catches for touchdowns. The Argos have used 5 different quarterbacks this season. Their hopes in this playoff game rest with Ricky Foggy. The CFL is on display in Toronto Sky Dome for the final time this season in this East Division semifinal playoff game. Welcome to the Sky Dome, where the Ottawa Rough Riders face long odds against the explosive Argos this afternoon. If you believe the Rough Riders, they're happy just to be here after 4 years of not being in the playoffs. But then, of course, you don't believe them, because nobody gets this far on the road to the Grey Cup without at least dreaming of going all the way. As always, Don Whitman and Ron Lancaster will have the accounts of this game. Don, a game the Riders have to play without their defensive star.
You're right, Scott. Bruce Holmes is out. Brian Warren is in. But, Ron, I don't think it's going to make any difference to the Argo game plan.
No, Toronto sets a game plan. You don't care what the other team does. You set the game plan according to what you do. And as far as Bruce Holmes being out, I know he's a good football player, but I don't think they miss him today at all. He got what he deserved. But the big thing is Toronto does not run the football. And when you don't run the football, your middle linebacker doesn't play that important of a role. I really believe there's other areas where they have to play better.
One area where the Ottawa Rough Riders must play better today is in the secondary, and they'll need strong games from their 2 inside halfbacks, Brett Young and Tony Hunter.
Yeah, this has been a trouble area for Ottawa all year, the play of the secondary. The inside halfbacks in particular have to shut down Darryl Smith, Brett Young, and Daniel Hunter. And Brett Young's got to come up real big today. He's got to get up there and knock Smith around a little bit. Don't let him run free out there. If they don't, it could be a long day.
The Argos won all 3 regular season games and are favored today to win and advance to the Eastern Final. Scott?
And Don, this game is all about who gets to face the Bombers next week. Winnipeg head coach Mike Riley has traveled to Toronto to be our guest analyst. He'll join us throughout the telecast and on Live at the Half. We'll also go live to Edmonton to preview the West Division semifinal. But right now here at the Sky Dome on Remembrance Day, we'd like to take a moment to remember all of those who fought to make the world a better place for us.
The CFL on CBC. An exclusive presentation of Miller Lite. Goes down great among friends. By Priority Courier, the official courier of the CFL. And by Diet 7-Up. Challenge your taste.
Last November, the search for a national title produced a classic outpouring of celebration and emotion. Celebrate a national tradition. The Grey Cup on CBC.
Welcome back to the Skydome, where Winnipeg head coach Mike Riley is a few hours away from finding out who his team faces in next week's East Division final. Put yourself in Steve Goldman's position. How do you stop the big guns like Smith and Clemens when you couldn't do it on any of 3 occasions this season?
Well, I think the key for him is just to tackle them, make the plays down the field on the ball, and then when they get in the open field and catch the ball, make sure you make good sound plays, Scott.
All right, Mike, thanks for being with us. Good to have you here. We'll talk to you on Live at the Half.
Look forward to it. Thank you.
Now we're set for the opening kickoff. Let's go upstairs to Don and Ron.
Thank you, Scott. Dave Ewell is the referee in charge this afternoon as he and the other members of the officiating staff move into position. Dean Dorsey gets set to kick off. Kevin Smelly and Mike Clemens are deep to accept this kickoff. Clemens, of course, established the league record this year for all-purpose yards, 3,300 of them. And he will handle the football at the 15. He runs out of room at the 33, tackled by Paul McGowan. Ricky Foggy, who has never played a CFL playoff game, will get the starting assignment at quarterback for the Toronto Argonauts.
This is the guy you have to stop. You have to do a better job of containing Ricky Foggy. It may take 6 people to do it, but you have to do it. You can't allow him to run around like he did last week when he rushed for over 100 yards. He is the key. He's a good long passer. He's a guy they got to shut down.
When you talk about records, 4 times this year, Ricky Foggy ran for better than 100 yards in a game, and that is a CFL record.
And he does it by not even being the starting quarterback. That's the surprising part.
His first pass to Clemens, and Clemens is taken out of bounds at the 39-yard line by Patrick Wayne, who has had a great season at that outside linebacking position for the Rough Riders.
Well, we saw him right away. They go, you talk about offensive keys, they go right away to Mike Clemens. He's almost at 1,000 yards. He had over 900 in receptions. Him and Darryl Smith. We know you have to stop them. If you have success with them, Jeff Boyd's pretty good himself. He's over 1,000 yards again. So they have 3 people. If you stop these 3 people, you may win the football game.
On second down, Clemens to Darryl Smith, and Darryl Smith takes it out to the 53, tackled by Brett Young.
Top part right there is Patrick Wayne, number 35, came from the weak side of the formation. He was just maybe a half a step short from hitting Ricky Foggy before he could get that pass off. And, that game of inches, Don, that's all it was there. We talked about Brett Young and Daniel Hunter, but we feel that Greg Stuman and Patrick Wayne, the front people, have got to get to Ricky Foggy to keep him from moving the football.
Greg Stuman led the Rough Riders in quarterback sacks this year. There was talk in the Toronto newspapers about the last time these 2 teams met in the regular season game that Greg Stuman was dropping off more into pass coverage. Here he is rushing Foggy. Foggy still got the pass away. Kevin Smelly, however, could not hang on.
Well, they had the ideal setup again. They put 3 receivers to one side of the field, and when Ottawa rotates over, they get Mike Clemens one-on-one on the weak side linebacker. In that case, Patrick Wayne. That is a tough job for Wayne today.
Don Matthews, who would like to take this team in his rookie year as their head coach to the Grey Cup game in Vancouver. And regardless of whether Don Matthews is there, Steve Goldman, or Mike Riley representing the East, CBC Television will be there to provide coverage beginning at 4 Eastern time. This is what they have to do, flush Ricky Foggy out of there. They've got him on the run. He's still on his feet, and now he's got some blocking help. And he is going to throw deep to a wide open receiver, and the catch is made way downfield by Andrew Murray.
Well, we talked about that. You can't allow Ricky Foggy to run around back there. He plays this game like it's a Sunday afternoon touch football game. You have to get people after him. You're not going to get to him with 3 or 4 people. You're going to have to bring 6 because that's what he does best. Look how much time he's got. This receiver standing down here doing nothing, and Ricky Foggy's got all day to find him. He's behind everybody, and that's a big, big mistake.
Andrew Murray way down at the 25-yard line, frantically waving his arms as Ricky Foggy was being pursued. Then Foggy got the blocking protection he required. He had time to find that open receiver. It's 1st and 10 now at the 17. Foggy looking for Darrell Smith in the end zone. Incomplete. Foggy took a chance there, throwing into double coverage as both Charles Wright and Brett Young were defending against Darrell Smith.
You see Brett Young, 21. All right, that's not bad, but don't let him out there too easy. Now he gets the help. The corner falls off, and Scott Clegg will also come from that safety position, and they knock him to the ground. That's what you have to do. You got to know where he is at all times.
Darrell Smith set a league record for pass receptions and equaled a league record for touchdowns in one season. Mark set by Pat Abruzzi way back in the 50s. Greg Stuman with the sack back at the 26-yard line.
Get Greg Stuman matched up with Kevin Smelly, and Stuman is an outstanding pass rusher. Last week he wasn't rushing the passer a lot. This is what he has to do today for Ottawa to be successful.
11:28, the time remaining in the opening quarter. Lance Chomick will be attempting a field goal from 32 yards out. John Kangemi will hold. Matt Dunnigan is not dressed today. Don Matthews does not expect Matt Dunnigan to appear in an Argo uniform again this season, regardless of how far they may go. And Lance Chomick puts it through from 32 yards out, and the Argos lead the semifinals 3-0. While Ricky Foggy only started one game for Toronto against Ottawa, Damon Allen started all 3 for the Rough Riders against the Argos.
He put up some pretty good numbers, but talking to him yesterday, what he says they have to do is to play ball control. Keep Foggy on the bench. So look for him to try to run Reggie Barnes and throw short passes to keep drives alive.
He's going to run Reggie Barnes on the first play from scrimmage, but Rodney Harding makes sure he doesn't go anywhere.
He also said yesterday the worst thing he can do today is to be into those 2nd and long situations, because that's when the Argos will come to get him, and he did not drop back much last week. And if they can force him to keep the backs in, then he has trouble throwing the football as any quarterback would.
He has 2 very talented receivers to throw to at that wideout position, David Williams and Stefan Jones. He's going to dump the screen to Barnes, and Barnes battles his way up to the 42, but he is stopped short of a first down, so it's 2 and out for the Ottawa Rough Riders on their first offensive series.
Well, he was very anxious to see what the Argonauts would do in the first 2nd and long situation. He got exactly what he figured he'd get, a zone defense. A screen pass is a good call against the zone, but when you need 10 yards, that's an awful lot of yards to get with a screen, and 8 yards is a great average for a screen pass.
Terry Baker stands at his own 27 for this 3rd down punt. Pressure from the outside. The Rough Riders pick it up. Clemens waits for it at the 27. Clemens doesn't need much room. Kyle Hall catches him from behind and makes the tackle at the 45-yard line. That's where the Argos will scrimmage 1st and 10. A 23-yard run back. Well, the talk all week was about the suspension of Bruce Holmes. Ottawa coach Steve Goldman had been hoping to get Holmes back into the lineup for today's game. There even was an appeal of the suspension launched by the Canadian Football Players Association. But the verdict held. Bruce Holmes remains suspended for this game.
And he should. Commissioner Crump made a good call. This is a tough enough game. You don't need that stuff.
Foggy's going to be hit from behind and dropped for a big loss. The ball is loose. It's picked up by Stuman, and an they going to whistle this one dead? No, it's a touchdown.
And Foggy may be hurt. Still down on the field.
Glenn Kolka made the sack. Greg Stuman picked up the ball. Foggy was in trouble the moment he dropped back to try and set up.
Well, they get that good outside rush on him, and when he tries to escape from his right, Kolka comes clear around, and he gets him from behind. And when you get that quarterback from behind, he can't see it. He can't protect the football, and when he went down, the ball came loose.
So Greg Stuman scoops up that loose football to score the touchdown. As you see, Glenn Kolka from behind grabbing quarterback Ricky Foggy, and he went down heavily with Kolka on top of him.
Yeah, and all the booing when the ball came loose was, did the ground make him fumble? That's what the booing was. You know, they get the replays here also. Their argument is that when he hit the ground, he had the football. That last replay we had, it's a pretty close call. Let's take a look at it, see if it sees better. But you see Kolka, so he gets him in trouble. And when he hit the ground, he may have still had possession of that ball, but the referee could not see it from where he was. He can't call it.
Now of even more concern for the Toronto Argonauts, not whether or not that ball popped loose, but the condition of quarterback Ricky Foggy.
Yeah, we saw him go down by the hit of Kolka. He got right back up, and then he was blocked down again. So whether he hit his shoulder on the first one or second, but he seems to be okay now. It might have just been his wind, but big play for Ottawa, and that's what they need today.
So Greg Stuman, whom the Toronto newspapers said played a little different role in their final meeting of the season, won by the Argos 49-30, is a very definite factor early in the first quarter today.
Yeah, we didn't get to see the game last week, but evidently he dropped off in pass coverage, and that would be an entirely new role for a guy like Stuman. He's an outstanding pass rusher, so that's what they need him to do today. And if they can get Kolka wound up on the other side along with Patrick Wayne from the outside and get the inside good pressure, just Lloyd Lewis, just keep it on him, they can get the Foggy, but they've got to stop him.
Stuman this season had 13 quarterback sacks. Dean Dorsey will attempt the point after. And the Ottawa Rough Riders with 9:22 remaining in the opening quarter lead by 4. And we'll be back with the Ottawa kickoff after this. Ricky Foggy is up and testing that throwing arm at the Toronto bench. He had Glenn Kolka, the full weight of the big defensive end, on top of him when he came down. But did the turf make him fumble? That replay would indicate it did.
But look at the referee. At the angle that he had, he can't see it, so he can't call it. Somebody should have come in and helped him, I guess, but it's a tough call. But as you say, Don, he did have the ball when he hit the ground.
The kickoff goes out of bounds. They'll do it again. Let's bring in Scott.
Well, Don, here at the Argo bench, the Toronto medical staff has checked Ricky Foggy. They declared him okay. He took a blow on his right shoulder, but will play. Here's an interesting thing, though. You can see, I don't know if you can see it, actually. Perhaps you can. He's got tape on his right ankle, and he's got 53 on the tape. Number 53 is the number of Bruce Holmes, the Ottawa player who was suspended for the late hit on Foggy last week. They're good friends. I don't know if that's why he's got 53 on there or not, but he does have it on his right ankle.
Another sidelight to that Bruce Holmes incident. When Holmes appeared in Toronto to hear his suspension, or to hear his appeal, he stayed with Ricky Foggy. Clemens runs out of room at the 30-yard line, is driven back to the 25. Brent Lewis was the man who made the initial contact, and John Congemi is going to come in to play quarterback for the Argos.
I think right now that was a good example of what you have to do to Mike Clemens to stop him. Don't worry about coming up and really hitting him hard and making him pay. The first guy has to grab hold of him and then let everybody else push him and get him to the ground. If you take that shot at it, he bounces off.
John Congemi isn't too happy with his statistics this year. He has thrown more interceptions than touchdowns on a team that set a scoring record. Pass to Clemens. And Clemens on the sidelines gets enough room to pick up a first down. Scott Flagel, the safety, came over to force him out, and now Clemens is hurt.
John Congemi looks at that defense. He sees Patrick Wayne on the same side of the field with Mike Clemens. It's one-on-one, and that to a quarterback, That's all you can ask to get a great football player, excellent receiver, one-on-one with a linebacker. You got to be careful. If they stay in that alignment, they'll throw to them all day.
Don Matthews must be wondering what else can happen to his Argos this afternoon. Ricky Foggy going out, and now Mike Clemens is down.
Well, let's take a look at it. You see Patrick Wayne, 35, is chasing him. He's got his man coverage. Comes to hit. Scott Flagel underneath, and all that happens, he falls on top of him. I really would think that it's just the way he fell on the football, because Scott Flagel didn't really hit him in the legs. He just kind of tripped him up.
Scott Flagel, during his days with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, had the reputation of being a punishing hitter, and he came in and appeared to deliver quite a blow to the ribcage area of Mike Clemens.
He really did, but what happened, if you look, is he went past him, and he tripped him, and then Holmes fell right on top of him. I'm sorry, but Patrick Wayne fell right on top of him, and he's up walking off. That football, you land on it, your ribs will crack in a hurry. I see he goes by, but here's where I think it happens, right there. Just lose your wind in a hurry.
Patrick Wayne has had an outstanding season for the Ottawa Rough Riders. As we mentioned earlier, he has really matured as a linebacker in this 1990 season. And of course, Mike Clemens has been Mr. Everything for the Toronto Argonauts.
Well, I know that they've got to get him back in that lineup as soon as they can, because where he lines up and how they cover that alignment is going to dictate where the quarterbacks are going to throw the ball.
Keith Kelly into the ball game, replacing Clemens. Handoff goes to Smelly, and he isn't going anywhere. Met right at the line of scrimmage by Glenn Kulka.
This isn't the game they want to play. They don't want to run the football. They want to have Foggy rolling out of there. John Congemi is a quarterback that knows how he has to play to be successful. He can't roll around like Foggy. He has to beat him with his head.
2nd and 10. The ball is at the 50-yard line. Here comes the pressure up the middle. The ball is loose again. Brian Warren is after it. Penalty flag on the play. As Kevin Smelly tried to get back there ahead of Brian Warren when the ball came loose on the contact on quarterback John Congemi.
This call is going to be that Smelly was interfering with the Ottawa player.
Illegal interference on a loose ball. Number 5, Toronto. First down.
It's a hard call, but that's what the call is.
Brian Warren was trying to get to that loose football. He was prevented from doing so, according to the official, by Kevin Smelly. Paul McGowan was coming up the middle. He was the man, I think, who caught the ball loose from John Congemi.
Well, you see, they finally come after him. See, Congemi's not the runner, and McGowan comes free right up the middle, makes the good hit that ball. Now, right here, see, Smelly is pushing Warren out of the way. That's what the flag is. You cannot do that because the ball is free, and it belongs to anybody that can get it.
1st and 10, Ottawa. They are at the 27 of the Argos. They lead by a score of 7-3. Damon Allen fakes inside. He's going to throw into the end zone, and he overshoots the intended receiver, Stephan Jones. Paul McGowan has shifted to the middle linebacking position, replacing the suspended Bruce Holmes. Brian Warren was activated. He is playing the outside linebacking position. I think McGowan may have a little more speed at that middle spot than Bruce Holmes.
Yeah, and that's the key against Toronto. That's why I said before that even though Bruce Holmes is an outstanding player, against Toronto, the speed factor is important. McGowan, if he plays on the outside, he has to have the speed. So when you put him in the middle, it gives your overall linebackers more speed.
2nd and 10 from the 27. David Williams the target this time, and again Damon Allen cannot deliver the strike. Williams was being covered by Carl Braisley, so it will be a field goal situation for the Ottawa Rough Riders as they are unable to capitalize and score 6 points on that fumble recovery. 7:08 is the time remaining in the opening quarter. Dean Dorsey will be attempting a 34-yard field goal. Ken Hobart will hold. Kick is wide. Carl Braisley in the end zone concedes the single point.
Well, you can't do that. I mean, you get a heck of a turnover. They don't get the touchdown off the turnover like they did the other one, but they got great field position, 2 incomplete passes, and you got a chip shot from 34 yards. You got to put the ball through the end zone, you know, touchdown or uprights, but you got to kick it in there.
Yesterday, Steve Goldman at the press conference, with tongue planted firmly in cheek, said, "I don't see how we have a chance. We're just glad to be here." Don Matthews has criticized our secondary. He's criticized our offensive scheme. I appreciate his help.
Yeah, well, you're selling a lot of wolf tickets. You know, I know this. If the best team always won, then there's a lot of games that should never have been played. You got to win on the field, not in the press conference.
John Congemi continues at quarterback. Mike Clemens back in the ball game, and Clemens trying to get outside, fights for 3 yards before he's brought down by Patrick Wayne. Scott?
Well, Don, Ottawa's chances in this game increased substantially when Ricky Foggy had to leave it, and now the Argos say they'll have to hold their starting quarterback out for a while. Initially, the doctor told me that Foggy was okay, but he's had a flare-up of some pain on that right shoulder. They're watching him very closely, icing the shoulder, and they say they'll have to wait at least 5, 10, perhaps even a few more minutes to see if the pain subsides.
In the meantime, John Congemi is the quarterback, throwing to Jeff Boyd for a first down. Up to the 54-yard line, tackled by Ian Patterson, but not before Jeff Boyd picked up 16 yards.
When you put Brian Smith or Darryl Smith on one side of the field, and when he goes downfield, they will honor him. And when they do, Jeff Boyd cuts right underneath them. They throw him the football. Patterson has to make the tackle. Like we said, Boyd is an outstanding receiver. He's just overshadowed by those other 2 guys.
Stuman was coming from the outside position. The ball went to Clemens, and Clemens continues to break tackles. Scott Flagel finally got to him, but what a great run by Clemens. Stuman was coming from his defensive end spot. He overran the play, enabling Clemens to get into the open.
You know, this is stuff you can't teach a guy to do this. Either he can do it or he can't. Watch him take the ball, and you say, there's Stuman. Bang. He cut in between Stuman and Lloyd Lewis, but watch him make people miss, in particular right here. Charles Wright. Watch right there. You got to wrap the arms on. You're not going to block Mike Clemens down. You hit him with that shoulder. All he does is balance up. He's got great balance, good feet, and away he goes again. You've got to grab him and hold on. But what a run.
This year, he scored touchdowns running, as a pass receiver, and as a punt returner. The only area that he did not score a touchdown was on a kickoff return.
He didn't miss too many ways. He's fun to watch play football, you know, whether he's catching passes in the flat, turning it upfield, running the draw. I mean, you don't run it any better than that. He beat 2 Ottawa defenders.
Glenn Kolka is the injured player, and you see him being belted pretty good right there by Dan Ferroni after Chris Schultz had blocked him out of the play initially. Kolka, initially a member of the Toronto Argonauts. He was with Montreal in 1986, signed by Ottawa as a free agent in March of 1990. 6'3", 250 pounds, key member of that Ottawa front 4. Mike Lambrecht will take his spot along that Ottawa defensive line. It's 1st and 10 for the Argos. They are inside the 30 of Ottawa at the 28. The all-purpose back, Mike Clemens. With a big run and the first down. Paul Nastasiuk is in the backfield, replacing Kevin Smelly and picking up about 5 yards. Stopped by Patrick Wayne.
Now, remember what we said. If they're going to put Mike Clemens in that formation where Patrick Wayne has to cover him man-to-man, if Clemens comes off the line, Patrick Wayne has to give ground. So what do? They run Nastasiuk right to that open area. They have a good game plan against this defense. It's just on whether they'll be able to finish the drive.
Second down play, quickly inside to Mike Clemens. Congemi read the blitz, and he overthrew Clemens. And now Congemi is down.
One of the old adages in football is if you blitz a linebacker, the back has to stay in and block. Well, that's not true. Mike Clemens is lined up in the slot, and Patrick Wayne is lined up right over. Now watch, the linebacker comes free. Sorry, it's not Wayne, but I can't see who it is, but they just dump it over his head, over Clemens' head. Yeah, you're going to get free on the backside, but that has to be a touchdown. Right here. Watch in the middle. There's no one there. All do is get him the ball, and he'll walk in for a touchdown.
A 30-yard field goal attempt by Lance Chomick out of John Kajemi's hold with 4:17 remaining in the opening quarter. It's good. A line drive field goal by Lance Chomick, but the Argos now trail by just 2 points. It's been a rough year for Toronto quarterbacks. Matt Dunnigan twice has gone down, is not expected to return this season. John Kajemi has been hurt a couple of times. Ricky Foggy, today's starter, is now out of the lineup, and Kajemi himself is having some problems. Reggie Barnes, the ball carrier, squirming his way out to the 39-yard line, a pickup of about 4 before being stopped by Don Moen.
Ottawa wants to. When they run Reggie Barnes, they need to get about 5 yards. If they get 5 yards, they keep the pressure on the Toronto defense. If they don't get 5 yards, Damon Allen figures the pressure comes to the offense. I'd say he's pretty close. He got about 4.
The Argos have had a big edge in terms of possession today, but Ottawa leads by 2. Damon Allen will run, and he'll get the first down, diving up to the 45-yard line.
That's having good field awareness or field presence, whatever you want to say. He scrambles out of that pocket. You see the Argonauts drop back in the zone. Only 4 men rushing. Damon doesn't like what he sees, but look at the seam that's created. That's why you tell your defensive lineman, stay in your lane. He has to get to that line. He knew it's 2nd and 6. He puts the head down and dives to the ground to get the first down.
3:04 remaining in the opening quarter. 8-6. Ottawa leads Toronto. Damon Allen looking to run. Gets a block from Williams that enables him to dive up to the 49-yard line. He was looking downfield initially and then pulled it down and decided he had to try and take off.
Good job blocking by that Ottawa offensive line, and when he gets outside, so they just turn back, protect. What they do is keep everybody to the inside, which they do, but he had nowhere to throw the football. Now he's in trouble. See, number 4, David Williams, was downfield running a pattern, but as the quarterback started toward the line of scrimmage, he came back to block, so Allen has to run with the football.
Damon Allen was the 4th leading rusher in the CFL this year. Trying to throw that screen to Barnes, and what a hit he took. Rodney Harding, I believe, tipped that football as Damon Allen attempted to set up the screen to Reggie Barnes.
Try to clear it out first with Conrad coming across, try to get that area clear, and then just let Barnes leak into it. But Chris Gaines, he does what he's supposed to do. He just sits in that zone, and when the ball comes to his area, he lets him have it. Watch it. He knows the ball's tipped, but he's not sure he don't catch it, so he just goes and drill him.
3rd down punt by Baker. Bounces to Clemens back at the 15-yard line. The Rough Riders trying to make sure they give him enough yardage. And even though there were 6 of them waiting for him, Clemens still returns the ball 6 yards to the 21.
Saw how quick he was. That ball's rolling around. Ottawa line up. He stands in the middle, all of a sudden picks it up and splits 2 tacklers and gets 6 yards. You would think he would have not got it in him.
Don Matthews felt his team had an excellent week of practice in preparation for this game. They had Monday and Tuesday off and then 4 days of work. And Willie Gillis is going to take over from John Kajemi at quarterback. So in this opening quarter, this is the 3rd Toronto quarterback we have seen. Clemens, the ball carrier. Look at him run. Another first down. Don Matthews said he didn't anticipate that the Argos would make a living today with their ground game. So far, that's the way they've existed.
And Mike Clemens is the guy getting the job done again. Watch it, a draw play upfield. Watch the quickness again. Right here, just bounces outside. But a good tackle, number 27, Hunter, gets hold of him and hangs on.
Clemens has carried 3 times for 43 yards. The pass to Darrell Smith, incomplete. He was being covered by Brett Young. On the sidelines. Let's bring in Scott.
Don, it's interesting to note the last time we saw John Kangemi play prior to this game was a couple of weeks ago in Regina. You'll recall he took a shot to the chin and cold cocked him almost, and he didn't play since then until today, and now a shot to the head in this game has him sidelined. It's cut his lip as well. He's a bit woozy right now, trying to shake off the cobwebs. I'm trying to find out who the fourth quarterback is down here, and nobody seems to know. They might need him.
Darryl Smith, number 4.
I think Darryl Smith might be the man pressed into service if Willie Gillis should go down. Gillis is going to get the first down, or at least be close enough that the Argos would gamble if he hasn't picked up a first down. Paul McGowan made the contact, and with 2 quarterbacks already down, I'm sure Don Matthews must cringe a little each time Willie Gillis takes off.
He sure does, Don, but just think where we would be if that rule allowing them to dress the third quarterback would not have been passed. It would be a shame to play in a semifinal game without a quarterback. Willie Gillis is a 6'4" quarterback that can run. He's a bit bigger than Foggy as far as physical build. Maybe doesn't have his skills yet, but he can throw it. He's got a howitzer for an arm.
Well, you saw an example of just how well he throws the football as Andrew Murray tried to make the catch, and he claimed to the official that he did catch the ball, but they ruled otherwise. And that is the final play of the opening quarter, with the Argos trailing by 2. Willie Gillis at quarterback for the Toronto Argonauts, 6'4", 215 pounds, out of Norfolk State. He drilled that last pass into the arms of Andrew Murray on the final play of the opening quarter. The officials ruled that he did not catch the football. I think Murray's argument was he caught the ball and took a couple of steps, fumbled it, and recovered. But they ruled he did not have possession.
Yeah, and that puts him into a 2nd and 10 situation. So now Gillis, we'll see what he can do. He's got to get back in that pocket, see if the blitz comes.
Gillis for Darryl Smith, and Brett Young almost intercepted. And had Brett Young picked that one off, he was gone for 6. Well, let's take a look at the pass to Andrew Murray. Does he have possession? Certainly looks so at that angle. The ball comes loose, and Murray recovered.
That's a close call. You know, we can't tell whether he actually has it in his grasp. He could be juggling it. Maybe that's a pretty good call, but on that one, Gillis got to watch the flats. You throw the ball in the flats. Brett Young playing a very good football game with Smith right now, almost went for 6.
Hank Olisic stands at the 28. Here comes the pressure up the middle. He just got it away. Rob Prodanovic came very close to blocking that Hank Olisic punt.
I have no idea how he missed it. It looked like he could have blocked it right off of his foot.
Charles Wright, who is in a new role for the Rough Riders, the punt returner, stopped at the 20-yard line. Statistically, in the first quarter, the Argos had the edge in almost every category, but as we often point out, right-hand corner, 2nd from the bottom, turnovers. Accounted for 8 points for the Ottawa Rough Riders.
Well, you say for Danovic, watch him. He's into the backfield.
Right through his hand.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't have any idea how he could miss that. I thought he might just pick it off his foot and run with it. That's how close he was.
Damon Allen is throwing deep, looking for Jeff Smith over his head. He's being well covered by Don Wilson.
Wilson wouldn't let Smith go where he wanted him to. You know, Wilson forced him to go where I want you to. That's what Wilson said. You'll go where I want you to go. And Smith not having the great speed, Wilson can do that because he can run with him.
Damon Allen has hit only 1 pass so far today. Those 2 turnovers, 1 recovered for a touchdown by Greg Stuman, the other resulting in a single after a missed field goal try by Dean Dorsey. It's 2nd and 10. The ball just shy at the 20-yard line. Browner in pursuit of Damon Allen. Allen is forced to try and run for a first down. He won't get it.
That's a good job by Browner to rush in. This is the guy they need to get the production from. He gets upfield, and Barnes is unable to knock him off his feet, and he chases him outside, forces him to run with the football. Watch him coming. Here he comes. 65. Roper tries to block him. Barnes can't get him down. Holman and Harding are blocked just long enough to allow Allen to get outside, and now he has to run. Comes up 3 yards short. Now you have to punt it. And that means Clemens puts his hands on the ball again.
And he should provide the Argos with good field position. Penalty flags on the play as Terry Baker gets away a good kick. Clemens takes it at his own 45.
You know what I think this call is going to be? We're going to get an offside call by the linesman, and I think that man, the official, is going to call illegal procedure on Ottawa. Let's see.
Dave Ewell, the referee, conferring with the line judge, Bruce Schweider.
You know why he does that? The official on the side sees the lineman jump, but the referees see the offensive lineman move, and that is a good call by the official.
Procedure. Ottawa number 35. Third down repeated.
So they'll repeat the third down. Don Matthews feels that Mike Clemens can improve upon the field position.
See, the official looking down the line, he can see Toronto jump, but he can't see Ottawa's people in the up back position, in that case Patrick Wayne, moving around to help draw him offside.
This is a better kick by Terry Baker. It chases Clemens back to the 38. Penalty flag on the play. Clemens did improve on the field position, but it appears to be an illegal block against the Toronto Argonauts, and that will bring the ball down. .30 the time remaining in the half. 8-6, the Rough Riders lead.
Don, we want to say hello to Larry Ritza, the oldest living season ticket holder in Ottawa. 81 years old, been a season ticket holder since 1934 with the Ottawa Rough Riders. He's recuperating at home after staying in the hospital, and this was brought to our attention by his grandson Todd and his son Larry. They're here today, and they want him to know that they're thinking of him and to cheer for the Rough Riders.
Willie Gillis dropping back, looking to throw deep for Darrell Smith. It's intercepted by Hunter. Daniel Hunter did a good job of defending against Darrell Smith. And they're ruling it dead at the 35.
He gave himself up. He hurt himself on the catch. When he got up to run, he just said to heck with it, and he knelt down on one knee. And when you do that, you're giving yourself up, and the whistle went, and they're right. But what a great play. We said Hunter and Greg Young inside. Now, what Gillis does, looks to his right to hold Scott Flagel coming into your picture now. But it's one-on-one with Hunter and Smith, and he comes up the winner, and he gets a great block from Flagel. But he hurt himself right there, and he just couldn't run.
That's the third turnover. The Rough Riders leading 8-6. First and 10 from the 35. Little swing pass to Reggie Barnes. And he will pick up 7-8 yards, stopped by Harold Hallman.
That whole play is made by the slot back, James Ellingson, who just steps off the line and blocks the weak side linebacker and doesn't allow him to run out there.
Matt Dunnigan, providing some of his experience to Willie Gillis. Now Chris Gaines, the middle linebacker, is down.
Brian Illebrun for Ottawa is down, and Brian's been playing most of the season with a very, very bad back. But talking to his line coach yesterday, Joe Alessandro, he's really pleased with the year Brian's had. He says he knows he's hurt, but he said he hasn't missed much playing time. Gaines, they need him in there if they're going to stop the running game and the short passing game of Ottawa.
11:34 is the time remaining in this first half. The winner will advance to next Sunday's Eastern Final in Winnipeg against the Blue Bombers. And as you heard at the start of our telecast, Mike Riley, the Bomber head coach, is with us. He'll be joining Scott Oake on Live at the Half. 8-6 is the score. Ottawa leading Toronto.
A national tradition, November 25th, the Grey Cup on CBC.
That was a tremendous collision involving Brian Illebrun and Chris Gaines, and both of them are hurt. Hillebrand being assisted off to the Ottawa bench. Gaines going off in the cart.
Well, you saw the collision. Hillebrand leading the ball carrier around the end. What's coming underneath? It's Chris Gaines going to try to get in on the tackle. He gets hit and blocked, and he goes into the leg of Hillebrand, and both of them are injured. Hillebrand kind of helped off. I don't think he'll be back, and as you see the golf cart, Chris Gaines is in there. So, well, I tell you, it's a tough day for ball players.
Bruce Elliott into the ball game, replacing Gaines. Brad Turney takes over from Brian Hillebrand on second and short. The Rough Riders pick up the first down.
All right, here comes Chris Gaines from the middle linebacker position. Let's see. A 54 throws the block at him. That's Herb Damon. He trips him up, and Gaines flies into Hillebrand. Both of them are injured. Those are two pretty key members of this football, both of their football teams.
First and 10 from the 47. That pass knocked down at the line of scrimmage. Keith Browner got his hand up to block it.
When you're 6'6", it helps. The thing is, Damon Allen likes to sprint and throw quick. Okay, you shouldn't sack him, but if a guy with Browner's height will come across that line of scrimmage and try to string it out when he lets it go, he just uses that height advantage to knock it down.
You had a most interesting conversation yesterday with Damon about some of the patterns he was going to try and employ today.
Yeah, we talked about, what he's going to try to do against this Toronto defense, because he has to control the football in order for them to win. It looks like Browner's decided how he's going to allow Damon Allen to play.
They fake the draw play. Parker is after Allen. Allen is throwing deep to Williams. He's open. All the way to the 7-yard line.
The only question was will Damon Allen run into his left? If he had enough gunpowder to throw it that far downfield, we saw he did, because Williams was behind him. We're going to take a look at it. I can't believe he got this open. He just goes out. Uh-oh. One red man, one red zone. You saw Reggie Pleasant stay on the flat and wait for the receiver. We saw Carl Brazeley chase his man. That means there's a mix-up, and Williams goes right by it.
56 yards. Damon Allen to David Williams, who has openly criticized Steve Goldman this year for being overlooked in games. He certainly was not overlooked by Damon Allen on that play. It's first and goal from the 7-yard line. Handoff to Barnes, and Barnes carries to the 2.
We saw Don Moan play that linebacker position. That was a well-executed play by that offensive line, but Don Moan just kind of slid to the outside, and when the ball carrier comes through, he's there to make the hit. We talk about Williams again being overly critical, but I'll guarantee you this, if he gets as open as he was there, he'll get a lot of passes from him.
It's second and goal from just outside the 2-yard line. Don Moan has moved into the middle linebacking position. Costello is playing Moan's outside spot. And that Toronto defensive unit stacks up Reggie Barnes right at the line of scrimmage.
Goal line situations, low team wins. Man lowest to the line of scrimmage is going to win it. Run behind Yellorenko. Here comes Barnes with a football. Let's see, they just stack it up at the line. Nowhere for him to go. A tremendous hit. Looks like Costello, number 37, made the first contact. But it's third and goal.
Third and goal for the Rough Riders from the 2. Handoff to Barnes. He didn't get there.
I see Ottawa protested, but I don't think he was there. I don't believe he got in. Get a good look at it on this replay when it comes up. Again, it hit that same area, but it looks like Moan and Costello again. All right, here they come. Same play as last time. Same area, but watch the hit. 37 is there, and 36 is there, and then they get a lot of help from their friends, and they needed it because they would have fallen forward. They prevented it, therefore no touchdown. Watch it from the back. 36, 37, and then Pleasant and Hallman come in to finish the job. That's tremendous defense at the point of attack.
In the last couple of years, Don Moan has been getting the recognition he deserves. And today, because of the injury to Chris Gaines, he has been moved from the outside linebacking position to the middle, and he made 2 big plays down on the goal line.
When you really need it, that's the difference.
Willie Gillis on a sweep forced out of bounds up at the 7.
That was run all the way. There was never any question. All they're going to do is try to get in front of Willie Gillis and get him outside and let him try to pick up the first down.
8:13 is the time remaining in the half. Patrick Wayne is being blocked.
Patrick Wayne's trying to be blocked. Kevin Smelly not big enough to block Wayne. Wayne just took Smelly and he danced him all over the field, and that allowed him to string it out far enough to make the hit.
The ball is at the 6. It's 2nd and 5. Toronto. 3 receivers wide left. Ottawa showing blitz. There was movement at the line of scrimmage, and that could be an offside call against the Rough Riders.
I would think it was. They got a little bit antsy. They were going to come on the blitz. They started cheating up. Lloyd Lewis, you saw jumping. They had McGowan also moving up into the line. I think that's what it'll be.
And that should give Toronto a first down with 7:48 remaining in the half.
Offside. Ottawa number 35. First down.
Well, we talked about the interior. Let's see what happens with Patrick Wayne. He jumps also. He's the first guy the official's going to see looking down the line.
1st and 10. The ball is at the 11. Darryl Smith is open on the sidelines. Say goodbye.
Wasn't bad for distance, was it?
99 yards. Willie Gillis to Darryl Smith for a touchdown that puts the Argos ahead.
A harmless throw. Watch, it's thrown in the flat. Throw it out to the flat. Now, 27, Daniel Hunter. You got to make this tackle. He's blocked. But right there, Charles Wright misses it. I can't even tell who that is, but look at the blocking downfield on Flago. He gets in behind here. I think one of these guys is the quarterback down here helping Darryl Smith. You cannot, when you have a chance to make a tackle, you got to make it in big games, or any game.
Lance Tronick adds the point after. And the Argos now lead by 5, and we'll be back with the Toronto kickoff after this.
When it's time to play football, I exit the real world. Rather primitive, isn't it?
In Ottawa,
67%
of football fans tested prefer the taste of Diet 7-Up
Boy, were we thirsty.
over Diet Coke.
If someone tried to take my dad's 7-Up away from me, I'm afraid we'd have to discuss it.
Challenge your taste.
The Argos have a reputation of being a big play team. So often we have seen them go bing, bing, bang, and the bang was delivered by Darryl Smith on a 99-yard touchdown toss from Willie Gillis.
Well, as we said, it's just a harmless pass in the flat. But with the first block that comes up and springs them, couldn't see who really did it. But I mean, a 5-yard pass turns into a 99-yard play. I'd say they're a big play team. They don't get any bigger.
Stafford on the kickoff return, stopped at the 31-yard line. Marcus Thomas came up to dump Tony Stafford, the designated import for the Ottawa Rough Riders today, who is playing mainly on special teams. 26-yard run back to the 31. I wonder when the Ottawa Rough Riders reflect back in this game whether they'll bemoan their inability to score on a turnover and their penetration to the 7-yard line.
You know they will. I mean, you just can't let that happen. You've got to come out there with points. That's 10 points. You know, we'll give the credit that, okay, they had to kick a field goal but won, but they have to get the touchdown on there. That's 10 points off the board, and in one play, Daryl Smith goes 99. Now the pressure is back on Ottawa. Tremendous pressure now because the Argonauts, one play can ignite you, and we'll just see how much that play does for them.
Keith Browner restricted Reggie Barnes to 2 yards on that last play with 6:22 remaining in the half. Screen to Jed Tommy. Or Conrad, I'm sorry. And it is stopped right at the line of scrimmage by James Parker.
I'll tell you what, that was a tremendous play also by the linebacker over there. They set up the screen. They brought 5 men to rush the quarterback. Therefore, they're playing a man underneath. And when that ball is dumped up, number 37, Keith Costello, comes up and takes the first hit at him and holds him up, and then Parker finishes him off.
Last punt by Terry Baker, his best of the ball game, 52 yards. Pleasant picked up as he came up the middle. Baker unloads another big punt, chasing Clemens all the way back to the 20-yard line. Rob Prodanovic spun him around, and then the Ottawa Rough Riders converge on Clemens at the 25-yard line. Scott?
Well, the Argos have suffered their share of injuries this season, but I can't think of a single game in which they've suffered losses as big as this one. 2 quarterbacks out, and now their middle linebacker is gone for this game and any game the Argos might play thereafter this season. Chris Gaines has suffered a serious knee injury. They're pretty sure he's torn some major ligaments in his left knee. It's not the first time he's hurt the knee, but obviously will not play again this year. That's a big loss, and Don Matthews probably can't believe his bad luck today.
Well, things certainly started off as though there was a black cloud hanging over the Argos, but with that 99-yard pass, their fortunes in this game have improved. And now Willie Gillis with time, looking deep again for Daryl Smith. This one is caught. Are they ruling no catch? No catch.
That's almost a heck of an effort, though. Gillis made a mistake this time. Ottawa's playing man-to-man defense with Scott Flagel free in the middle. Now, the longer you take to throw the football, the deeper Flagel's going to be. Now, when he throws it into the middle of the field, that's where Flagel's at. But Smith almost takes it away from him. It does bounce on the ground, but he almost took that ball out of Scott Flagel's hand. That's good defense by Flagel. That's where he's supposed to be.
Flagel blocking our view momentarily from this side. It looked as though he had caught the football, but it is 2nd and 10 from the 26-yard line. Gillis is getting pressure. He loses the ball. The Argos get it, but they will be forced to punt.
Good move by the Ottawa defense. Let's face it, Gillis is a rookie. Go get him. You know, you put those new guys in the game, you go get him. They bring Brett Young on a halfback blitz. He comes free around the corner. Coming from the left side of the screen, number 21, Brett Young. Gillis sees him, tries to run away from it. No chance. None. Good defense. Keep him off balance.
Paul Massotti recovers that loose football. 4:39 is the time remaining in the half. Tremendous hang time on the Hank Olesic punt, fielded by Jeff Smith, stopped at the 45. There's also a penalty flag on the play near the midfield stripe.
It was a real late call. I don't really know what it was. Smith was on the ground when the flag was thrown.
Yardage being marched off against Ottawa.
Illegal block. Ottawa number 36, first down.
Brent Lewis is being charged with the illegal block, taking it back to the 31-yard line, 1st and 10 Ottawa. 13-8 is the score. The Argos leading the Rough Riders with 4:16 remaining in the first half. Low throw taken by Jeff Smith, And he'll pick up 6 yards. He was crawling ahead, pinned by Darryl Ford.
Yeah, he caught it on his knees. The ball was thrown low, and the big thing was he didn't bother getting up. Watch, he'll run on his knees a couple steps and then just fall forward to get the maximum gain of 6 yards. If he to get up, he's going to take a heck of a hit.
He wears those protective glasses as the result of an injury suffered prior to the start of the season down in Palm Springs, California. He suffered a detached retina just prior to heading to the training camp of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Well over the head of Stefan Jones. He was being covered by Ed Berry.
What a great hit by Darryl Ford. They try to sprint Damon Allen to the wide side of the field. The defensive end takes the blocker wide, and then Darryl Ford comes right inside and delivers a heck of a hit on him. The ball was overthrown by about 15 yards. Nobody was going to get that one. Damon had no choice but to unload because Ford comes free. Puts a good hit on him and forces him to throw the football. That's all you have to do. Mess up the timing.
Baker with a 52-yard punt and a 57-yard punt this afternoon. Kicks from his own 25-yard line. Clemens takes it on the run at the 35. And he is stopped at the 47. Sean Footy was there to make the tackle with 2:56 remaining in the half. The Argos lead Ottawa. The Argos have the football at the 47. Gillis throws to the sidelines for Clemens, and he is taken out of bounds by Patrick Wayne.
All day, same setup, one-on-one. Mike Clemens with the linebacker Wayne, no contest. You run right at him, break to the outside. He can't cover you. He's just not quick enough. He's a tackler, a pass rusher, but in pass coverage, it's hard to cover Clemens.
It almost seems that John Kangemi is injury prone.
Well, you know, it's a nasty knock to get, but it doesn't look that way, doesn't it? He's been hurt. It seems like every time he gets in, he gets hurt.
Kevin Smelly on 2nd and 4 will be very close to a first down.
You know, again, we're in one of these situations, Don, where Ottawa had some chances to put some serious points on the board and didn't. It almost appears now that the Argonauts are starting to take control of the football game. Even with Chris Gaines out of there, they get Moan in the middle, do a good job, and the offense now is starting to relax. They know they got a third-string quarterback in there, but they can relax and play football, and he'll do the job for them.
John Kangemi's entire CFL career has been one plagued by injuries.
And that's one thing you can't have in this league. You cannot get hurt. You must be durable.
1st and 10 from the 52. Gillis tries to run. He is caught from behind by Greg Stuman after a pickup of about 3 yards.
We have another Toronto injury. Looks like Dan Perrone down on the field. Right around the 50-yard line. They're going to have to call in another doctor.
Boy, the Argos have really been taking a beating in the first half of this football game. You know, we talked about the Ottawa Rough Riders at the start of our telecast having not appeared in a playoff game since 1985. J.C. Watts was the quarterback that year. He played with Ottawa from 1981 through 1986. They lost that 85 playoff game 30-20 to the Montreal Concords, but I came across an interesting article the other day. J.C. Watts was elected a corporation commissioner in Oklahoma this past week. He is one of 3 corporate commissioners in the state overseeing the oil and gas industry in the state of Oklahoma.
Sounds good. I don't know what it is, but I'm glad to see that. It's always good to see what guys are doing after they leave. And, you know, you just drop out of sight, but all of a sudden it appears in the paper. You're always happy to read it.
On the sidelines, let's join Scott O.
Well, Don, Winnipeg head coach Mike Riley has joined us here at the Sky Dome as our guest analyst for this East semifinal. He's watching this game with more than a passing interest, and he'll be with us on Live at the Half. And so will a couple of key figures in the West semifinal, which is later today between Saskatchewan and the Eskimos at Commonwealth Stadium in Edmonton. We'll go live to Commonwealth Stadium and talk to Saskatchewan head coach John Gregory and the starting quarterback of the Eskimos, Tracy Ham.
And we're 2:20 away from the halftime break here at the Sky Dome with the Argos in front 13-8. 3 turnovers in the opening half so far by the Argos, but Ottawa has not been able to capitalize the way they had hoped. 2nd and 8, Toronto. This one looks as though it's run all the way, but Gillis isn't going to get outside of Paul McGowan.
Talk about team speed. You see who was out there? 44 Warren, 29 McGowan, all the way to the sideline. That team speed is so important at that linebacker position. You always only think of it as wide receivers and defensive back, but the linebackers need the speed also.
You know, during the course of the season, the most productive quarter for the Argos in their record-setting year was the second quarter. They racked up 246 second quarter points this year.
That's not bad, is it?
Ankalisic kicks the ball to Charles Wright at the 10. And the pursuit tracks him down at about the 17-yard line, and there is also a penalty flag on this play.
Yeah, we'll get an illegal block by number 18, Patterson, the cornerback for Ottawa, Ian Patterson. He come back to block, hits the man right in the back.
1:29 the time remaining in the half. Will the squandered scoring opportunities come back to haunt the Rough Riders?
Illegal block. Ottawa number 18, first down.
Kenny Hobart, good friend, right? We see him all the time. I said to him today, I said, well, what's new, Kenny? He said, well, I'm a new father. So we want to wish his wife, Valerie, that little boy Monday named Zane. So Kenny's pretty happy about that. I said, I guess you could say there's a lot new in your life.
Well, that's certainly the most important part of this year for Ken Hobart.
Very frustrating this year for him.
Reg Barnes is stopped at the line of scrimmage by James Parker.
And you see who's getting up along with Parker? Number 36, Don Moen. So, I mean, we're talking about a guy who came into professional football as a defensive back. He has shown he's an outstanding outside linebacker. Now he's in the middle, and he's made 2 of the biggest plays that maybe he'll make all year. Those 2 hits earlier.
Some have suggested that the quick has gone from James Parker, but Don Matthews insists he's still a very valuable member of that front four.
Well, he doesn't play the rush in now. It's a different responsibility for him. He's not required to get sacked.
Williams on the sidelines is overthrown by Damon Allen.
Well, you saw right away, heads-up play, Reggie Pleasant. As soon as that ball was thrown out of bounds, he's called timeout, even though he didn't have to because the clock would stop, I think, but, you know, in the last minute of play. But he's already called timeout, so Ottawa has to punt from the end zone again. And watch for Reggie Pleasant on a block.
Pleasant has been trying to come up the middle on 2 previous third down punts by Terry Baker. Both times he's been picked up.
What they're going to have, they need to get somebody outside to get those 2 big guys back there away so that middle will open for him. He's not big enough to run over those 2 guys back there blocking for Ottawa.
Reggie Pleasant might be one of the premier cornerbacks in the Canadian Football League.
There are people that feel he is the best. Now, I don't want to get into that argument because Pless, Barry, Brown, and Rod Hill, that's 4 pretty good corners, and you can win with probably any 2 of them.
Baker is about 7 or 8 yards deep in the end zone. Pleasant coming up the middle again. Picked up as that ball bounces to the sidelines and out of bounds at the Ottawa 43-yard line.
That's when you need the big kick again. Coming out of that end zone, you know, that's when you want to boom one about 55 yards. You see Reggie Pleasant trying to get in, finds the hole, finally gets through there. No chance. See, the big guy's back there. Conrad just sitting there waiting on him. You come in and he'll smack you. But
Conrad and Tommy were there waiting for Pleasant. First and 10, the Argos at the Ottawa 43-yard line. 3 receivers to the right. The ball goes to Clemens as he runs to his right. Can't believe how much room he had over there.
When he turned the corner, nobody there. The receivers went down the field, run off. The defensive backs went with him. And when he turned the corner, nobody with him. Go to hurry-up offense. They're into that last 41 seconds. Get that play called. He's wasting time, though.
First and 10 from the 30. Here's the handoff on the statue play to Clemens. He cuts back inside, and he will lose a yard with 29 seconds remaining in the half.
Had no chance. You saw number 44, Brian Warren, just sitting out there waiting on him. The old statue play. Fakes the pass, hands off to Clemens. You hope that you draw him in. 44 just sat outside where he should, made the tackle very easily.
Clock is running as Gillis moves up over the football. He's throwing into the end zone. Incomplete. He was looking for Darrell Smith, and he made a valiant effort to dive for that ball, but could not pull it in as both Scott Flagel and Brett Young were back defending.
You see, break the outside receiver to the post and then turn Darrell Smith upfield and just let it be a foot race between you and Brett Young. Now, Brett Young does the wise thing. He watches Darrell Smith. When that receiver really looked back for the football, 21, Brett Young turned around and looked, and as a result is able to make the play. That's good defense.
13 seconds remaining in the half. Lance Chomick, who has already been successful from 30 and 32 yards, will attempt a 38-yard field goal. And this one is good.
We're going to take it to him, baby. Argo's #1. The first step right here. Hi, Mom. Hi, Kelly. Hi, Diane, back to Clearwater. BC, how's BC? What's up, baby?
Mike, have you missed anybody?
I was just trying to think about that. We'll give him a couple more minutes. Saw him coming into the stadium today, watching the players come in. I tell you, we talk about how small he is, but when you see him in street clothes, there's not much to it. Was it last year he had a little trouble getting into the stadium, and was it Scott had to go over and help him get in? The security guard didn't believe he was a player.
5'6", 170-pound Mike Clemens. First and 10 with 9 seconds remaining from the 35-yard line. Damon Allen swings it out to Reggie Barnes. That takes the clock down to 1 second. Ford was over to make the tackle with help from the middleman, Don Moen.
Toronto just sat deep in his zone, put those defensive backs back there, make them throw underneath. You don't care. He can throw that again if he wants to, because he's not going to go very far with it.
Reggie Barnes, Rookie of the Year candidate, 1,260 yards, second only to Robert Mims of Winnipeg.
The thing you have to like about him, too, Don, he averaged about 6 yards a carry. That's really the measuring stick that Ottawa needs today. They need him to get back in that 6 yards a carry mold.
Should be the final play of the half. Damon Allen throwing to the sidelines. He bounced it in front of James Ellingson, and that will end the half here at Skydome, with the Argos leading the Rough Riders by a score of 16-8. Stay tuned for Live at the Half.
Welcome to Live at the Half at Toronto Skydome. We're 30 minutes away from a decision on which team will face Mike Riley's next week in the East Division Final. Mike, the form chart suggested that by halftime of this game, you might know which team you'd be playing, specifically the Argos. They were expected to waltz to victory, but you don't know for sure right now who you'll be playing.
No, there's no way of telling right now, Scott. The game is really in the balance. Ottawa has played hard and done a good job, but Toronto has made some big plays that have kept them in the position they're in right now.
Did you think that taking Ricky Foggy out of this game really changed the complexion of it?
There's no question about that. Anybody that loses their #1 quarterback like that right off the bat is hurting, but you know, the mobility that he provided and the things that he can do, you know, they're suffering from it a little bit.
Intensity has not been a problem for the Ottawa defense in this game. I think they've shown more intensity in this game than they did in those back-to-back victories over you guys late in the season.
Well, they are playing very hard. I think they've rallied together. They have some talent, some good talent on that football team, and they're very capable, as we've seen ourselves. So, you know, it's just a few plays in there. The big goal line stand and then the big play from Darrell Smith. Those things right there are the difference in the game.
If you're Don Matthews, are you in the locker room now hoping for a miracle of modern medicine at the half?
Well, I think you'd like to get some of those guys back, but the main thing you have to do is just keep going. They've actually moved the ball pretty well with Willie Gillis in there, and they still have Clemens and Smith, so they still have some firepower.
Obviously, what Ottawa must do is score when they get the chance.
Exactly, and they haven't really done anything offensively, and that it really has cost them because they've had opportunities. They missed a field goal, missed a chance to score when they were on the 1-yard line, and it's hard to come back from those lost opportunities.
A preference on who you'd like to meet in the East Division final next Sunday in Winnipeg? Would it be the Argos? If these injuries linger, would that make them vulnerable?
Oh, I don't know. I think that either team that ends up winning is going to feel great about the win, and they're going to build confidence, and they're going to come in to play the game of their lives just like we hope to. So we don't have a preference. We're just glad to be playing in the game.
What do you expect to see in the second half of this game? Because as you said at the outset, it's still up for grabs.
Well, you know, I think the key now for Ottawa is to get some offense going. If they do that and their defense can hang in there, they got a chance to win. But if they don't, I think Toronto will eventually pull away from them.
The weather in Winnipeg today, 1 week before the East Division final. I called home this morning. They told me it was about -10, howling wind. I guess you want it even colder than that, and preferably with a blizzard.
We'll take whatever comes, but I imagine we're going to be in for some pretty cold, windy weather, Scott.
Thanks for your time, Mike. We'll talk to you at the conclusion of this game when you'll know for sure who stands between you and an appearance in the Grey Cup.
Should be a great second half.
All right, stay with us when Live at the Half returns. We'll go live to Edmonton to preview the West Division semifinal between the Riders and Eskimos. And Saskatchewan Roughriders kick off the West Division semifinal at Commonwealth Stadium in Edmonton. Let's go live there now. The head coach of the Saskatchewan Roughriders, John Gregory, standing by to talk to us. John, the question all week has been, which of your teams is going to show up? The one that goes for the throat or the one that fizzles early? Are you concerned about your roller coaster performance this year?
Well, not really, because today we're over here in Alberta getting ready for this downhill slalom event, and I think our real team is going to show up. I really do. I'm excited about the game. I know our players are excited, and we're looking forward to the game.
John, your team finished 9-9 this year, the same record the Riders had last year when they won the Grey Cup, but you have hastened to point out on several occasions that this is not the same team.
Well, that's for sure, and certainly the 9-9 record was not by design by me, maybe by our players, but certainly not by me. And I just think that we don't worry about that. It's playoff time. What has happened in the past has gone by, and we're ready for the semifinal game.
All right, John, thanks for your time, and good luck at Commonwealth Stadium today.
All right, thank you a lot.
Well, I mentioned the Eskimos' tailspin. They began the season by going 9-3, then lost 5 of their last 6. It is hardly the way the Eskimos want to go into the playoffs. Tracy Ham was shaken up a couple of times in a loss to Calgary last week, but he gets the start today, and now he joins us live from Commonwealth Stadium. Tracy, how are you feeling? You held together with tape and baling wire for this game, or are you okay?
Well, I'm okay. I'm as healthy as I could be at this time of the season, though. This has been a long season, but when it comes down to this time of the season, you put aside all your nicks and just get ready to play.
Tracy, you led a pretty charmed life in your first few years in the CFL. Would you say today's a chance for you to really show what you're made of, to put the last month and a half behind you and go out and lead your team to victory?
Well, I think the bottom line is that we're in the playoff, and when you start the season off, you have several goals, and one of them is to get to the playoff. And through all our dismay throughout the season, here we are in the playoffs, so I don't think that we should complain because a couple other teams would like to be in our shoes at this point in time. I just got to go out and play good, sound football like the rest of my teammates has to do in order for us to win the ball game.
Well, talking about the playoffs, Tracy, I can't imagine there's anybody on this team that was there last year who doesn't remember what happened in the West Division final. How much motivation has that upset loss to Saskatchewan been for you this week in preparation for this game?
Well, we just went out and practiced hard. Last year really is not a factor for this year because we had a different team last year. We have a lot of players that are not here that were here last year. They're not here this year. But I just think we just got to go out and not worry about what happened in the past and just go out and play this game today.
All right, Tracy, now you can be our guest weather commentator on this edition of Live at the Half. What's that white stuff swirling around you?
Well, they call that snow in this part of the country. Some Toronto wouldn't know nothing about because they playing indoors. But hopefully this will work to our advantage. Hopefully this will slow their rush down some, and you know, you look for every type of advantage that you can get, and hopefully this will work to our advantage.
So it's cold enough for you today at Commonwealth Stadium?
I heard it was worse before.
Okay,
the weather, yeah, the weather's not going to be a factor, really.
Thanks for your time, Tracy, and good luck to you in today's West Division semifinal.
Thank you.
Edmonton Eskimos, Saskatchewan Roughriders set to kick off in about an hour and a half from now at Commonwealth Stadium in the West semifinal, but our focus here at the Skydome in Toronto is the East Division semifinal. Let's go upstairs now to Don and Ron.
Well, the Ottawa Roughriders had opportunities, Ron, to put points on the board in the opening quarter. They cashed in on one. Greg Stuman recovering a fumble by starting quarterback Ricky Foggy and scoring a major.
Yeah, you have to score when the opportunity presents itself, and this is the only time they took advantage of it. You see Foggy get the rush as he starts to scramble to his right. Coming from behind is Glenn Kulka. Now the argument is, was it a fumble? It's hard to say. I say he was down with the football. It doesn't matter. Stuman picks it up and scores the touchdown, and that's really been the offense for the Ottawa Roughriders today.
The offensive weapon for the Toronto Argonauts has been Willie Gillis to Darrell K. Smith.
You know, you say the big men have to make big plays in big games, and there probably wasn't a bigger play made today than this one. He breaks a couple tackles, but watch the blockers that he picks up as he goes downfield. You see Kevin Smelly, you see Paul Mazzotti, and I think even Willie Gillis comes downfield. Now, you can tell Willie Gillis is young. If he wants to run that far downfield to help block, good, I'm happy for him. But big play by Darrell Smith, and I believe the Argos are taking control.
Willie Gillis throwing the touchdown pass and blocking for Darrell Smith as the Argos enjoy a 16-8 halftime lead. After a somewhat shaky start, the Argos dominated in that first half, as many anticipated they would statistically. 274 net yards to 116 for the Roughriders. 3 turnovers enabled Ottawa to pick up the 8 points they have on the scoreboard. Toronto kicking off to start the second half. Hank Olisic drives it deep to Stafford. Stafford fumbles the football, and Toronto is recovered. Paul Nastasiuk appeared to strip the ball from Stafford, and the Toronto Argonauts will take over deep in Ottawa territory.
Wow, you know, when they got Nastasiuk, he was a good special teams player, but watch number 27. He's got a hold of him. He pulls it out of his hands. He's on the ground. The ball hits the ground. He grabs it. Don Matthews liked his toughness when he had him in BC, and he was very happy to get him to take part in these special teams here.
1st and 10 from the 33. The Argos, as one might expect with Darrell Smith in the lineup, have had a preference to throw the football to the slot backs.
There you go.
And of course the big play with Smith is that 99-yard touchdown toss from Willie Gillis. Mike Clemens stopped at the line of scrimmage by Brett Young, who moved up from his inside halfback position. And there's an injured Toronto Argo. Bob Skemp appears to be down.
He should be pulling out in front. He's already on the ground. As you see, Clemens, who lined up in the backfield that time. Clemens sometimes in the slot, sometimes to the wide field, this time in the backfield. And when he's back there, he usually gets the football.
Dan Perrone, who was injured earlier in the first half, back in the ball game. So with Skemp down, Blaine Schmidt will probably come in. There you see the middle linebacker, Chris Gaines, who was out for not only the balance of this ball game, but for however long the Argos have remaining in this 1990 season.
We may not even enjoy Christmas this year. This is going to be one that looks serious, and that means either a cast or operation or both. Who knows? But not a happy time for a linebacker.
Well, there was some speculation today that Joanne Polak may soon join the Toronto Argonauts in a marketing capacity. I wonder if Mike McCarthy, general manager of the Toronto Argonauts, who indicated that he had offered Polak a job with the Argo organization, was discussing that prospect in this conversation they had yesterday.
I hope not in that conversation when he's pointing and saying that, you know, I mean, if you're going to offer somebody a job, I hope you're a little more polite than that. I think they were making the points about, you know, just what was going on here at the field. He had to put the field together yesterday. That was fun to watch that for a while.
Well, they had a big rock concert here on Friday night, AC/DC was performing in the Sky Dome, and they had to put the artificial turf in. The lines weren't marked in the playing field yesterday when the teams were practicing, but they do have it in good shape for today's Eastern semifinal. Bob Skemp goes out of the ball game. Blaine Schmidt comes in as his replacement. Right in the middle of the screen, you saw Bob Skemp get hit. Second down play, the pass complete to Darrell Smith. He won't get the first down. He is stopped at about the 26-yard line by Daniel Hunter.
He's 3 or 4 yards short. This will bring on Chomik again for the field goal. I think he was hoping to get Mike Clemens with single coverage, and he didn't get it. They went to the zone defense, and Smith stopped, but Hunter was right there with him.
Lance Chomik attempting to make it 4 for 4 in the field goal department.
Got the new holder now. Conjemi's not holding, Paul Masadi is.
And that does make a difference.
Yeah, most kickers like to work with the same holder all the time. The injury to Conjemi, maybe he just couldn't do it. Although we saw him up walking around, and he misses this one.
It goes wide, and in the end zone, Scott Flagel concedes the single point. 13:43 is the time remaining in the third quarter. The Argos lead by 9. Cup game takes place in Vancouver. Our coverage begins at 4 Eastern time. We'll also have the player awards for you on Thursday and the Grey Cup parade on Sports Weekend Saturday afternoon. Damon Allen is looking for David Williams, and he underthrew him by a good 4 or 5 yards.
And he had time to throw it. They gave him the time. He dropped straight back in the pocket. Just underthrew it, a very poorly thrown ball, and he'd be the first to say it. Bounced about 4 yards from him. But they have 87 yards passing, and they must have had 60 on that play to Williams. So that's not a very productive first half for Allen and his receivers or the entire offense.
Second and 10 from the 35. This one is knocked away by Ed Berry. He was defending against Stefan Jones. We talked earlier about the play of Reggie Pleasant. You mentioned Ed Berry. Berry and Pleasant on the corner provide the Argos with a solid secondary.
You see, we talk separation, receiver and corner. No separation. Ed Berry, when Jones broke off the run out, he was right with him stride for stride. And that is the difference. You either have to be able to break with the receiver or you close. Once that ball's in here, you got to be able to close. That time, he was right with him. That's just good defense.
Big kick again by Baker, chasing Clemens back to the 20-yard line. And Clemens is stopped at the 25 by Dan Johnson. On the sidelines, let's bring in Scott Oak.
Well, Don, another report from the ward, that is the Toronto Argo bench, and one of the patients is Chris Gaines, who's in street clothes now because of a serious injury to his left knee. And Chris, they say there isn't much in that knee that isn't torn.
No, he said from what I can gather right now, I tore the anterior cruciate and the medial collateral ligament, so it looks like I'm going to have to face surgery.
And what a big play that was for you to be hurt, and Brian Illebrun also tore up his knee in that play. You ever been involved in a hit like that?
Never. I've never seen two people go down like that. I don't know exactly what he did to his, but it was a screen play, and they had a couple of linemen pulling, and there was just a big collision. And next thing I know, I knew I had torn something in my knee.
Well, it's a long period of recuperation for you. Good luck.
Thanks.
Don?
Scott Flagel intercepts the Willie Gillis pass at the 50-yard line with 12:26 remaining in the third quarter.
Sorry, Don, but that's a mistake. When you have to hold the football as long as Willie Gillis held that football, you cannot throw it into the middle. Look at Flagel. He's just sitting back here. He held it forever. If you're going to throw away from that safety man, in this case, Flagel, you have to throw it quick and on the line. You put it up in the air, and he should get it.
Gives the safety far too much time to react.
You just can't allow it. He's sitting back there looking at you, and your receiver's getting deeper. That means the ball's in the air further. You're playing into the defense's hands. So now Ottawa's got a chance, a big play.
Jeff Smith takes the pass for a gain of 8. Darryl Ford brought down the Ottawa slot back. Well, they spot the ball. of the Toronto Argonauts. So it'll be closer to 7 yards on second down, or 3 yards, I should say, on second down, a gain of 7.
Well, they had a couple yards for a touchdown on second down and got nothing. 2nd and 3. This isn't a gimme.
You're right.
It is the way he ran that one.
Good fake to Reggie Barnes and Damon Allen to the 21-yard line.
Pulled everybody in the house with that one. That was a good play by Damon Allen. They had the blocking at the point of attack, and he handed that ball off. Don Moten was waiting on him again. He faked it, just went out the other way by himself, just jogs down the field. Had nothing to do. Dave Conrad made a block for him, and away he goes. There's another one. David Conrad got downfield. You see Brad Tierney, 55, trying to get down there to help. But a big play by Damon Allen, and they needed it.
1st and 10 from the 21. On the sidelines, he was looking for James Ellingson. It will be 2nd and 10 from the 21-yard line with 10:39 remaining in the 3rd quarter. The Argos leading the Rough Riders 17-8.
He had the separation on Barry this time. Watch it. He is open. Break. Ball should be there. Thrown late and thrown low. Ellingson can't get it. When you get one-on-one coverage, the receiver on a defensive back, the receiver should win the ball game. So far, Barry's 2 for 2 from the defensive side.
While Toronto has shown a preference for throwing to the slots, Damon Allen seems to prefer the wideouts. Allen's pass is complete. And did he get the touchdown? No signal yet.
I don't think he got in. I think the ball never got to the goal line. Ellingson's left shoulder may have hit that line, but I don't think the ball ever crossed it.
Behind the white line, please.
Van Bellingham, the safety, may have stopped Ellingson from getting into the end zone.
Little play action. You get that guy right there, 37, Castello, to come up and then throw the hook behind him and just try to split him and get to the goal line. But Van Bellingham did do a good job of bringing him down.
1st and goal. Damon Allen will keep. Touchdown.
Good call by Damon Allen. Don't mess around. The last time they got down there, they ran 3 running plays, not with Damon Allen. Get down there on the 1, get it in the end zone. Build some confidence. Get in behind that right guard. That's where Illivan played, but in this case it's Brad Tierney in for Illivan. Get right in behind him, follow him to the end zone.
Well, as you can hear and as you saw, there is a fair bit of support here at the Skydome for the Ottawa Rough Riders. A number of Ottawa fans, several busloads in fact, made the trip to Toronto for this Eastern semifinal. It's now 17-15. The Argos leading. 4 turnovers now by the Toronto Argonauts, and Ottawa has capitalized on 2 of them.
Well, that's the name of the game. When you get that chance, turn it over, turn it to points for yourself. And 2 out of 4 times they had, and the other 2 they had chances to and didn't come up with them. And that's the difference in the ball game.
Clemens on the return. He gets a block and gets to the outside. Up to the 45-yard line. That's where Toronto will scrimmage 1st and 10. 9:32 remaining in the 3rd quarter. That was a 35-yard return. 1985 was the last time the Ottawa Rough Riders played in a playoff game. Only 2 players remain from that team. Who are they? You answered Dean Dorsey and Lloyd Lewis. You're absolutely right. Gillis to Clemens. It's amazing how he maintains his balance, zigs and zags, and gets the 1st down.
When you get him one-on-one with the linebacker again, in this case it's Brian Warren. They put him to the other side of the field. Watching at the bottom of the screen, he just runs away from Warren. Warren's 4 yards away, but as you talk about balance, what's this? There it is. Makes one guy miss. Bang. Steps inside of another one. Only coming from behind. Are they able to stop him? He's got tremendous ability in open field.
The blitz from the backside. Gillis got the pass away just in time as Patrick Wayne and Greg Stuman were coming, and Greg Stuman got to quarterback Willie Gillis just as he threw.
That's an all-out blitz because here it comes. Coming from the outside, Greg Stuman makes the hit. Pass is thrown, but what's the hit? It's Scott Flagel that makes the hit on the receiver. You see the safety man up that close. Everybody is going, and he has got to take the first thing that shows out of the backfield, and he did.
8:30 the time remaining in the third quarter. It will be 2nd and 10. The ball is at the 45 of the Ottawa Rough Riders. They trail by 2 points. Scott Flagel up to the line of scrimmage. Here he comes. They picked him up, but they can't get Stuman.
Decided to come after him, keep the pressure on him. This time, instead of bringing the halfback or the rusher outside, they send the Stuman outside and watch Flagel come inside. See him right here, second from the bottom, looking for a way to get in there. Clemens makes a good block on him, but by doing that, you free up somebody else. There's one too many when you bring a halfback. You can't block them all.
A loss of 13. Greg Stuman having a standout ball game for the Ottawa Rough Riders. Hank Olisic's punt. Fielded by Wright, and he is down at the 28-yard line. He did in college, and that's the reason Steve Goldman decided to move him back on his special teams.
Well, you know who he'd like to have back there, Stacey Dodgy, but he's out with the injured ankle, and you know you're looking for people that have done it in college or anywhere else when you lose your gunner. And Wright's there.
1st and 10. The ball is at the 28. Allen for Conrad. Don Moan brings him down, but not before Conrad picks up a 1st down.
Call that a delay, a sneak, a hide, call it whatever you want. Conrad comes to his left to block. And when Allen rolls out behind it, Conrad just tries to sneak back underneath the middle linebacker. Now, Don Moan saw it. He just couldn't get there and bring him down fast enough, and as a result, he picked up a 1st down. But something to try to keep that linebacker from dropping too deep.
6:56 remaining in the third quarter. Swing pass to Reggie Barnes. Barnes will pick up 7 more.
That was the play a while ago that caused the injury to Chris Gaines and Brian Illiburn. Same play, just dump that ball behind the line of scrimmage. Both wide receivers would onfield and block, and then try to get those linemen in front of them.
Steve Goldman's team under pressure for the last month after losing a game at home to Hamilton. They were forced into a must-win situation in a pair of games against Winnipeg. They won them both, and while they could have been authors of their own destiny last week, they lost to Toronto, had to wait for Winnipeg to knock off Hamilton to assure them of a playoff berth. And now they're trying to make the most of their opportunity.
Well, they got the ball last time and put it in the end zone. And now they've got a chance again with a 2nd down and 2 situation. Looks like it's going to be the 1st down. They come back a little bit. They really staggered a lot. They almost came to a halt late in the 2nd quarter offensively. That touchdown missed Parker.
Reggie Barnes picks up the 1st down at the 49 of the Toronto Argos with 5:49 remaining in the third quarter. 17-15 is the score. Toronto leading. Low pass to David Williams on the sidelines, and Pleasant brings him down at the 51.
Good call when you get that receiver one-on-one with the defensive back, especially a person like Williams. His big play is to take off and run downfield and use that 6'4" height on a guy like Pleasant. So Pleasant has to stay off, and when he does, you can throw that type of pattern.
2nd and 2. Williams this time goes wide right. Short yardage offense is in there. Barnes gets the ball. He stopped short of the 1st down, hit at the 50-yard line. Don Moan has moved into that middle linebacking position, again in on the tackle.
Darryl Ford comes inside, forces Barnes. Right, Darryl Ford 21, will force him to cut inside, and the middle linebacker coming down the line of scrimmage, played off a block. Looked like Gerald Roper knocked Roper down and made the hit. Well, I'll tell you, that's hard to do. That's an excellent play. 3rd and 1 again.
Rough Riders gambling on 3rd down at the Toronto 50. Damon Allen keeps behind that surge. Should have the 1st down, depending on the spot. It looks as though they are going to give him the 49-yard line.
Yeah, he's got it. Official from the side, number 59, right in the middle of the screen, got that left foot down, and that's past, from what I can see from here, it's past the 1st and 10 marker.
It appeared as though Damon Allen may have hurt his thumb on that play.
Now, here's a tough decision.
Damon Allen is still down on one knee as the measurement reveals an Ottawa 1st down. Ken Hobart is going to come into the ball game.
Well, I was going to say, now, Damon has to stay out for 3 plays, doesn't he, if I'm not mistaken? Now, Kenny should be over, Hobart should be over on the sideline warming up. He should be throwing the football, you know, while Damon's down out there, because he can't possibly be warm. He wasn't throwing the football down on the sideline.
Damon Allen appeared to jam his thumb on that quarterback sneak. I suppose that's one of the dangers when you're in all that traffic.
Yeah, normally he should have those, you know, both hands should be around the football going straight ahead, but at least the good thing, it's his left hand. It's not on his passing hand.
But it would still be difficult to take a snap from center.
Well, if you take the snap right, you put your right hand up on the center. The center snaps the ball hard on the right hand. Your left hand closes on it. Just depends on how strong your right hand is, how much you need to use the left. You follow that?
I think so.
I'm not sure I do.
You took a snap or two, didn't you?
I'm not sure I knew what I said there.
At least Damon lined up behind the center and not the guard.
That's right. See, he's one up already.
Barnes gets a hold. Barnes gets the 1st down to the Toronto 36. Stopped by Dave Van Bellingham.
Well, they've been trying and trying and trying to get that running game going, and you know, this is as good a time as any, but there's nothing fancy here. This is a straight dive. You just run, find the hole, and go. And I was watching Harold Hallman get up off the ground, really disappointed he was being held. We didn't get to see it in there, but a good run, and Van Bellingham brings him down.
3:38 remaining in the 3rd quarter. Barnes again. This time they close off the hole. Darryl Ford, the linebacker, came across. Donnie Moen made the initial contact as they apply tape to that left thumb. Quarterback Damon Allen. What a rough day for quarterbacks in this Eastern semifinal.
Yeah, you know, they may have to look for volunteers to go in there at this rate. That's what, 3 of them have gone down out of 6 that are on the roster down there.
Tony Kimbrough behind Ken Hobart on the depth chart. Browner in pursuit of Hobart. He's caught him, but he may have had a head start.
That's going to be the interesting call. What happened was Hobart read the blitz coming right up the middle, and you saw him audible, and the back moved right up into the line. When the back moved up, the defensive end jumped, and they're saying that's the head start, and that's going to be a 1st down for Ottawa.
Offside. Toronto number 57. 2nd down repeated.
It will be 2nd and 2. Charles Wright with the ice bag in the back of his neck. 2:42 remaining in the 3rd quarter. Reggie Barnes gets the 1st down, fighting his way to the 22 of the Argonauts.
Good job of Barnes running. Good job on that left side of that line. Again, Rob Fitzgerald Roper run behind it, but watch Harold Hallman come from the inside right here. But he just isn't strong enough and tall enough to reach out there and bring him down, and then just hard running by Reggie Barnes puts him down in excellent field position.
1st and 10 from the 22. Clemens has outperformed his Ottawa counterpart this afternoon, but on this drive, Barnes has played a key role. Hobart can't get rid of it. He's caught by James Parker.
Good job of coverage by the Toronto secondary. What Kenny Hobart was looking at is when Williams ran that quick out where he wanted to throw the football, Reggie Pleasant was sitting there. So naturally you figure he can go deep on it, but Van Bellingham had rotated right in behind him, and he's there to help out anybody that needs it. So now Hobart's got to scramble, and he doesn't make it because of Parker.
Dan Johnson comes into the ball game. James Ellingson is out for the Ottawa Rough Riders.
Looks like a heat defense, the way they're lined up. They're all up tight. Here they come.
Hobart rolling to his right, looking into the end zone. Touchdown. No, he's out of bounds. Stephan Jones was out of bounds.
I don't think there's any doubt about it either. When he turns down the field, he's very close to the sideline. You throw it over his outside shoulder where you're supposed to, he's out of bounds. Here comes the blitz, halfback blitz, but he gets outside of Van Bellingham, and he throws it. But poor Stephan Jones is so close to the sideline, he had no chance. Watch the throw. He's all stepped out of bounds even before the ball got there.
Even before he made the catch, both feet were clearly out of bounds. So now Dean Dorsey will be attempting a 32-yard field goal that would put Ottawa in front by a single point. It's good. And the Ottawa Rough Riders, with 53 seconds remaining in the third quarter, enjoy a one-point lead. One step at a time, according to Ottawa coach Steve Goldman. He got the Rough Riders into the playoffs this year. Now he's 15 minutes and 53 seconds away from the next step, a berth in the Eastern Final. They lead by a single point. Clemens on the kickoff return. Got to the outside and stays on his feet out to the 48-yard line. That's what Don Matthews was talking about prior to the ball game, how Clemens provides them with great field position on almost every kickoff return.
He does a great job here again catching the football, but the question I have is why did they kick the football to him? You know, I mean, the guy is an outstanding kicker. I guess I know why. He hadn't returned the kickoff for a touchdown yet. But I mean, that's great field position. He caught that ball deep and around his 18-yard line. He's got it out to the 48-yard line. That's great field position for especially a young quarterback to operate from.
First and 10 from the 48. There's the reverse with Darrell Smith getting into the open.
Well, they knew they had it in their arsenal, and here it comes. If they can't do it by the methodical way, the ordinary way, you do it with big plays, and there's Darrell Smith again.
38 yards for Darrell Smith on that reverse.
Look at that. Hand it off to Clemens. Hand it off to Smith. He cuts inside Stewman. He gets the block, a key block, too, by Dan Barone, 69. Made a key block, and then you're free to run. Smith just sheds some backwards, but that's not a bad way to start a drive either.
First and 10 from the 24 of the Rough Riders. Draw play with Clemens. He isn't going anywhere, and there was also a penalty flag on the play. John Mandarich was one of those in on the stop for the Rough Riders.
There's no chance for that one.
Holding call against Toronto.
Watch this. The blitz. Here it comes. Number 44, Warren. 29, McGowan. There's awful crowded in the middle. You have nowhere to run. Mandarich is there. Well, it's a kind of a meeting at the quarterback or the running back.
And with the loss on the play, the Rough Riders decline the penalty. And with Ottawa declining, that is the final play of the third quarter, with the Rough Riders clinging to a one-point lead. To start the fourth quarter, the Argos are looking at 2nd and 15. Gillis throws to the end zone for Darrell Smith. Incomplete. Charles Wright and Scott Flagel were both defending against the outstanding Toronto slotback. Statistically, the Argos have the edge, 325 net yards to 229 for Ottawa. But those 4 turnovers have been a very vital part of today's football game.
Always are. Well, every time you turn it over, you take the chance of giving the team a touchdown. And it led directly to 1 Ottawa touchdown, and then again when they move it down the field. But Dominic has a chance to get 3 back.
It's good. Paul Massotti again holding for Lance Chomik as the Argos regain their 2-point advantage. 14:28 remaining in the 4th quarter. Matt Dunnigan in constant communication with the squatting box upstairs and relaying information to rookie quarterback Willie Gillis.
Yesterday at the press conference, we were at practice watching Dunnigan run around. He has no tape or anything on his legs, but he can jog. But everybody knows it's not the jogging that bothers, it's that quick starting and stopping. And I don't know. I think Matthew says he doesn't expect him back, but I don't know if Matt agrees with that. We'll have to wait and see.
Damon Allen back in at quarterback for the Ottawa Rough Riders. 1st and 10 from the 35. Throws it complete for a 1st down up to the 50-yard line to Stephan Jones, and on the sidelines, let's bring in Scott.
Don, Damon Allen has, they figure, about a 10-stitch cut on his left thumb. Fortunately not his throwing hand, but he's got so much tape on it to stop the bleeding. They're concerned it might be slightly immobile, and obviously their concern is, will he be able to take the snap effectively? But on that play, he certainly looked okay.
Had no difficulties on that play. 1st and 10, the ball is at the 49.
He can take the snap, no problem, no big deal.
This hole opens up the middle. He's got another Ottawa 1st down.
He had a very slow start today. Damon Allen didn't seem to get anything going, but in the 3rd quarter and right now into the 4th, 1st down, a lot of time to throw. He throws a heck of a pass to Jones. This time, wide open up the middle, and being the runner that he is, he just took off.
Running quarterbacks are the rage in the CFL. Tracy Hand, number 3 in rushing. Damon Allen, number 4. Ricky Foggy, number 7. This one is intercepted by Don Wilson. He may go all the way. Yards for Don Wilson on the interception.
What do you say about turnovers, Don? Name of the game, isn't it? I hope he was throwing this ball to David Williams. I didn't see anybody else out there. But number 20 just stepped in and took it.
Don Wilson in the end zone being congratulated by several of his teammates. And what a big interception return that is for the Toronto Argonauts. 26-18, they now lead with the point after to come. And Damon Allen wishes he had that one back.
Well, I'll tell you, this one is a hard one. I really don't know what. I know we got a quick out outside by David Williams. I could not see where the inside receiver is, but he's nowhere to be found. In a zone defense, if there's no inside receiver, that man can take it away, and he did. On 2 receiver side pattern, you have to throw the inside receiver because Don Wilson should intercept it, and he did. And then he just ran to the end zone. Look at it. Stepped right underneath David Williams, and he's gone. No chance for anybody to catch him.
With Browner getting his hands up high, perhaps Allen's vision was obscured as he looked for the sideline.
Oh, yeah, that can happen. You get a guy 6'6", with those arms up, and you're looking out, you may not even see Wilson.
And this could be where he got injured in the end zone as Reggie Pleasant jumped on his back to celebrate the interception return.
Yeah, he didn't seem to be hurt going into the end zone.
Lance Chomik with the point after. And with 12:50 remaining, it's now 27-18. We'll be back with the Toronto kickoff after this. Don Wilson is the hero of the moment for the Toronto Argonauts with a 72-yard interception return for a touchdown. On a throw Damon Allen would like to have back. He was trying to hit David Williams in the flat, and it went for 6 the other way. Stafford on the return, hangs on to the football this time as he brings it back to the 29-yard line, make it the 30-yard line. Next Sunday on CBC television, we'll have the Western Final for you. Calgary Stampeders at home to either the Edmonton Eskimos or Saskatchewan Roughriders. They hook up in that Western semifinal later this afternoon. And 2 weeks from today, we'll have the 78th Grey Cup game for you from BC Place in Vancouver. It all begins on CBC television at 4 Eastern Time. And of course, on Thursday, we'll have the Canadian Football League Awards. Ron Lancaster and Brian Williams will be hosting an hour-long presentation beginning at 9 o'clock. And on Saturday afternoon on CBC Sports Weekend, you'll see the Grey Cup Parade live on CBC television. Another injured Toronto Argonaut.
I think it's Mike Campbell, number 99. I saw him go down to the ground, grab his leg. It's hard to tell whether he's got a cramp in it or he's got a pull, but when the trainer massages that leg and he hits a certain spot, it hurts.
He's another of those ball players out of Slippery Rock.
Another Slippery Rock.
Ryan Hansen of the BC Lions played college football at Slippery Rock. So did Mike Campbell.
99. He's already limping. Right here, coming into the pile. He falls onto the pile, but it happened like 5 yards away. He was just kind of coming to a stop, and he grabbed his leg.
Just under 25,000 watching the action at Sky Dome today. And that, perhaps, is one of the reasons that the Toronto Argonauts are talking to Joanne Polak, trying to lure her from Ottawa over to Toronto to become marketing manager.
You know, if it does nothing else, I think it'll make somebody in Toronto realize they need somebody to go out and sell this football club. I mean, they complained last year that it was a boring football team. Don Matthews come in and was given all the criticism and made fun of when he said he'd shoot out the lights. He scored 38 points a game. They're exciting to watch. They're a good club, and they're still not getting them. I think somebody has to get down to the grassroots and get out and sell this club.
12:31 the time remaining. 27-18 is the score. From the 30-yard line, first down pass over the middle to Barnes. And that's an Ottawa first down.
Defense drops deep, take it away from you. Check Reggie Barnes out, drop him the football, and let him run. He does a good job, put a good move on Don Moan, and then turned upfield. Darryl Ford finally hit him.
The ball is at the 43, first and 10. David Williams goes wide left. Penalty flag as the pass is complete to David Conrad for a first down Ottawa.
I think this one will come back.
Holding against the Rough Riders. 11:42 the time remaining in the fourth quarter.
Holding, Ottawa number 19, first down repeated.
It appeared to be Barnes holding James Parker, trying to provide some protection for quarterback Damon Allen as he was looking out into the flat.
Well, if you're going to get beat, grab him, and that's, you don't want him to get hit. Here comes Moan up the middle. Barnes has hold up. That's a pretty good tackle. Excellent tackle. Not a very good block, but an excellent tackle.
I thought it was Parker he held, but it was Moan. Regardless of which player, it was a holding call. Damon Allen on the sidelines for Ellingson. Ellingson at the 50-yard line. Back a good chunk of it, about 17 yards.
That little fake draw inside to Reggie Barnes buys the time for Allen to get outside. Also, it allows Ellingson to go deep downfield and come back into the open area. So, if he can get outside after that fake, he'll have a lot of time to throw.
2nd and 3 from the 50. For a first down? Yes. Got away from Keith Costello and managed to pick up the first down.
First down.
Allen showed good speed getting outside, but Costello showed great speed in running him down. We talk about the speed that you need as a team. Costello gives him good team speed. He rushes to the inside, gets blocked, and then he still manages to come running behind and give him the push and shove him out of bounds.
That camera shows the replays on the Jumbotron here at Skydome. Cameraman went down, but he wasn't hurt. Barnes picks up about 7 yards. It will be 2nd and 3. Keith Browner made the tackle. 10:20 is the time remaining. Actually, they spot the ball back closer to the 50-yard line. So it'll be 2nd and 4. Riders haven't exactly excelled on 2nd down conversions today, and they still have problems. Was looking for Ellingson. 3rd and 4. And they send out the punting unit.
He crossed Ellingson underneath the linebackers, and coming right in behind him was number 82, Jeff Smith. Allen didn't find him, and he went to throw it to Ellingson. He had to throw it so far out there, he threw it high.
Still 9:56 remaining in the ball game as Baker stands at his own 45-yard line for this 3rd down punt. He has surpassed his seasonal punting average today, kicking indoors here at Skydome. Trying to angle it to the corner, trying to pin in Mike Clemens, and they do. At the 11-yard line. 9:32 is the time remaining. Paul McGowan downfield to make the tackle on Mike Clemens.
A national tradition, November 25th, the Grey Cup on CBC.
The Argos lead by 9, and they're 9:32 away from advancing to the Eastern Final next Sunday against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. They have the football at their own 12-yard line, 1st and 10. Clemens with a good-sized hole and a 1st down up to the 25-yard line.
Good job of blocking up front. Dan Perron makes his block. Kevin Smelly kicks out on the end, and the hole is tremendous for him to go through. Chris Schultz blocks down. Well, they create a hole that Clemens is small. He doesn't need that big a hole, but I mean, you give it to him, and he'll make a lot of yards.
Chris Schultz, number 67, having a great season for the Argos.
He's a tremendous blocker. And he sets that size, and he uses it so well.
Something of an unusual draw play. But Clemens still manages to pick up about 7 yards before being hauled down by Paul McGowan. Clemens and quarterback Willie Gillis almost collided about 6 yards deep in the backfield.
Not only that, but they had Ottawa Rough Riders around. I mean, you have a collision with the quarterback and a running back, and then Drake Stuman and 76 Lloyd Lewis are there, and look what happens. He turns an absolute schmozzle into about a 7-yard gain.
Clemens got up to the 31-yard line. Gillis checking off at the line of scrimmage. Gives it to Kevin Smelly for a 1st down to the 39.
Good call. It wasn't audible. There's no doubt the way Gillis called the signal. But now it's the right side of the offensive line. Got one of the injured Galvin Prunster's at right tackle, but we got Blaine Schmidt in place of the injured. Who got hurt? I can't even remember who got hurt now. We got too many injuries today.
There have been a lot of them who have gone down, mostly Toronto Argonauts. 1st and 10. The ball is at the 39. Over the head of Darrell Smith. He was working against safety Scott Flagel. Gillis overthrew him.
You know, halfback blitz. That halfback comes that hard. Flagel has to go get him. Gillis would like to get it to him a little bit quicker so he could put a move on him. So here comes the halfback outside. He sees it coming, gets rid of it, but he's just not happy with the way the ball ended up.
2nd and 10 from the 39. 7:30 remaining. Gillis, quarterback draw. He won't get the 1st down. He carries up to the 48. And the Argos will send out the punting unit. You know, earlier I talked about Mike Clemens. He is the Eastern nominee for the Outstanding Player Award. It could be that the two most outstanding players in the Canadian Football League this year both play for the Argonauts.
Yeah, very much so. I mean, it's very, very difficult to argue with the type of year that Darryl Smith has had. I was surprised Mike Clemens came off as their representative, but, you know, he is an outstanding performer, and he does so many things. He doesn't have one, he's not a great runner and all that stuff, but he's 3,300 yards and exciting. Well, I'll tell you, it's tough, but Darryl Smith had an outstanding season for the Argonauts.
Ankelisic's third down punt. Fielded by Charles Wright. And he's hit right at the 35-yard line. Darryl Ford was down to make contact with 6:42 remaining in the game. Done a Western final in Calgary since 1971. Ron Lancaster was still playing back in those days, but we'll be at McMahon Stadium next Sunday when the Stampeders entertain either Edmonton or Saskatchewan in the Western final.
And they beat us in 71.
I knew you'd remember that.
I remember that stuff.
Conrad over the middle, very close to a first down. 6:26 is the time remaining.
Good job downfield by the Argonauts. Again, they sent Ellingson underneath, try to bring Jeff Smith into the middle. But what happened, Raisley wouldn't let him in there, and then Conrad just leaks out, gets into the open area, and he does work, gets the first down. But they've got, I think it's getting down to the critical time where they're going to have to score a touchdown.
Damon Allen limping as he moves up to the line of scrimmage. He already has that thumb injured on his left hand. Gets the pass to Reggie Barnes, and Barnes goes out of bounds. That will stop the clock with 5:54 remaining.
It's another Argonaut down.
Harding, this time, the injured ball player.
See Reggie Barnes sitting. Now, the reason he gets to go out for the pass on this play is because that linebacker that you'll see come into the picture, number 37, Castello, did not blitz. If he blitzes, Barnes blocks him.
It'll be second and less than a yard for the Rough Riders. 5:54 remaining. Should the Argos hang on to this 27-18 lead and advance to the Eastern Final, they are going to be a battered and bruised group going to Winnipeg next Sunday. And I'm wondering who they'll dress as backup quarterbacks. With Foggy hurt today, Kangemi hurt, Matt Dunnigan already out of the lineup, and Coach Don Matthews saying yesterday that he didn't think Dunnigan would be able to return this season. Who will back up Willie Gillis?
They'll draw straws. I mean, I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, they may need 2 training rooms to get everybody in that they've had injured today, but the quarterback situation is they haven't had success against Winnipeg this year anyway. You know, and they had Dunnigan in one. I think he threw something like 7 interceptions, had a tough day there. I don't remember the last one. I don't know if Foggy played or Dunnigan did, but I mean, we're down to Gillis. And that's 4 they've tried against him. And Winnipeg's an awful tough team to play against. I would want the best one I could get in there, because you have to limit your offense a lot if Gillis plays. I don't think you can play the same style game.
Well, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers beat the Argos in all 4 meetings during the course of the regular season. One of the reasons that Toronto finished second and Winnipeg first.
And Winnipeg defense, they are intimidators. They're coming at you with linemen, linebackers, and they all run. Talk about team speed at linebackers, they have it.
Second and less than a yard. Allen fakes, looks for Williams, underthrows him. Williams had also attracted a crowd in the vicinity of the 35-yard line. There were 3 Toronto defenders running with the Ottawa wideout.
Yeah, you read this real quick. Somebody gave the run away, that it wasn't a run. They sat back to block pass right away on the end of the line. Tried to go to the post. Toronto said, go ahead, we're going to sit back here. We're going to play zone. See Van Bellingham, the safety, back 20 yards. He says, I'm not coming up there. You're going to have to beat us by earning it. We're not going to give you the big play.
Third down gamble by the Rough Riders with 5:24 remaining. Damon Allen keeps, and he dives forward to the 50-yard line and will have the first down. 27-18 is the score. Toronto leading Ottawa.
5 minutes, though. 5:10 to be exact. It'll be 5 minutes. It'll be under 5 by the time this ball snapped, and they're trailing, I think, by 9. They need to get into the end zone.
First and 10. The ball is at the 51 of Toronto.
it long. I think you need to hustle a little bit right now. You can't afford trailing by 9 points. You can't take 20 seconds all the time.
Over the middle. Pass complete to Jeff Smith, but he'll only get about 4 yards.
Darrell Smith sitting back. Linebackers drop, force him to throw it underneath. Throw it, make the tackle. That's a 4-yard and a headache routine.
While the Toronto Argonauts couldn't beat Winnipeg, Winnipeg had problems with Ottawa, losing the final 2 regular season games to the Rough Riders after going to overtime to win the season opener.
Never even thought of that. That's right.
Damon Allen goes down in the grasp of Don Moe, blitzing from that linebacking position.
Played an outstanding game today, moving into the middle because of the injury to Chris Gaines. But this time, he just almost looks like he comes unblocked around the outside, grabs him, and throws him down.
4:06, the time remaining. Baker comes into the ball game for a 3rd down punt.
Now you see 36 going. You see Brad Kearney, 55, tried to come out of the line to help him, but he had too much penetration. He couldn't get there. Big play, lost the 6 in there, and that really hurt the Ottawa Rough Riders.
Clemens on the sidelines again, and he is stopped at the 11 or 12-yard line with 3:51 remaining. Well, if the Ottawa Rough Riders are going to upset Don Matthews' Toronto Argonauts, it's imperative they come up with a big defensive stand right now.
Yeah, I was just watching Gillis come into the football game to see what his instructions were. I think the instructions are very simple. Don't take any chances right now. You look at that clock with 3:48 and counting, 9-point lead. Let's try to make it the 1st down, and if we have to kick it, that's okay, but let's try to hold on to it.
Jeff Boyd wide left. The 20-second clock is going to run out before Gillis could get the play off.
That's a mistake. I know Coach Don Matthews won't like that. You know, not a great call. You just run the football. Just once they call a running play, even if it's a quarterback draw, I don't care what it is, run the football on 1st down. Now the clock stopped, and they've lost 5 yards again.
1st and 15 from the 7. Hand off to Clemens. And Clemens is caught as he got up to the 10-yard line by Glenn Kolka.
It ain't over yet, man. It ain't over yet.
Almost got back to 5 yards that they lost, but we'll see what happens now.
Asadi and Murray come wide to the left. 2nd and 11. The ball is fumbled, and Willie Gillis managed to recover with 2:52 remaining in the game. So the Ottawa Rough Riders are going to get the ball back in good field position, trailing by 9 points in this Eastern semifinal. A delay of game penalty and then fumbling the ball is not what Don Matthews had in mind when the Argos got the football at their own 12-yard line.
No, I wouldn't think so, but right now he's got to go for the block, regardless of what, and send them all.
Olisic kicking from the end zone. Taken by Charles Wright. Here's the reverse. They give the ball to Shanfudi. And he brings it back to the 27-yard line.
Okay, that's all right. If you're not going to block it, have a trick. They have a reverse. What they needed was a big play, and they got it. But with 2:29, they don't have time to mess around now. They've got to get it rolling. Don't kill the clock by wasting time in the huddle.
John Fudi, a York University product, on the reverse from the punt return, bringing it down to the 27 of the Argos, 1st and 10, 2:29 remaining. The clock does not start until the ball is snapped. Damon Allen looking to James Ellington, touchdown!
Coming. He's got the ideal defense for it. With the backs in motion, and Bellingham was back behind the 2 defensive backs on the wide side of the field. Ellington just goes down the middle and cuts right into the open area.
sure he has the ideal play called for the defense that they're in.
The man who is nicknamed Duke provides some sweet music for Ottawa Rough Riders supporters as the point after will bring the Rough Riders within 2.
Maybe we'll get a look at it again. Now, we don't see the secondary, but look at the wide open spaces once he gets behind the linebacker. Saw Elliott and number 37, Costello. He gets behind him. There's nobody in the middle.
Another injured Toronto Argonaut as Darrell Ford is assisted to the sideline.
Well, it's a whole different situation now. They're 27-24, cut it to 2, a field goal win. Now Toronto cannot sit on it. Now they've got to move the football. They need the ball control. They have to now. It's not a case of taking time off the clock. They have to move it.
Dean Dorsey to attempt the point after from the hold of Ken Hobart. It's successful. 2:23 is the time remaining. It's 27-25. The Argos leading the Rough Riders.
Well, you know, Don, we talked earlier yesterday when we were sitting around discussing what's going to happen in the game. We felt that if the Rough Riders were to win the football game, they had to keep the Argos under 30 points. Now, they've done that. And as it's going to turn out, it's going to take 28 points to do it. So they have the shot at it, 2 minutes. They got time. They need a good kick, good cover, and get quick 2 plays and out to give Dean Dorsey the chance to win it.
Well, the first time they met this year, on August the 4th, the Argos won by 4 points. On August 16th, the Argos won by 16, and on November 3rd, they won by 19 points. So they increased their advantage each time they played. But Steve Goldman's Ottawa Rough Riders have been tough this afternoon, and they are 2:23 away from possibly registering a big upset.
And they're a better football team now, too, Don. You know, all that talk we said about earlier about being happy to be here or nothing, you still have to win the game on the field, and this is where it has to be done.
Mike Clemens will return the kickoff. He won't go anywhere. Good downfield tackle by Brett Young.
Well, we talked about Brett Young in the opening about he had to have a big game. He's done it defensively, and now on special teams, this is about as poor a field position as you'll see the Argonauts ever start from on kickoff return.
And now there's been a quarterbacking change as John Congemi has come in for the Toronto Argonauts.
Well, he's a smart quarterback. Right now, he needs the first down. He's only got 4 seconds to get the ball out, so he better hurry. Just made it.
The give is to Clemens.
He got a first down. Once again, it's that counter play that they love to run to that man, Mike Clemens. I'll tell you, if there's a better football player in the league, I haven't seen him. This guy is something. There it is. Lloyd Lewis can't catch him outside, but watch when he turns the corner. Watch this. Kevin Smelly's got a hustle to get a block point, but watch the balance that he has, even after this long run. They still have a hard time dragging him out of bounds.
Just when Ottawa hopes were so high, Mike Clemens runs for 44 yards. 2:07 remains. It's 1st and 10. The ball is at the 43 of Ottawa. Smelly inside to the 39. A gain of 4. It will be 2nd and 6 with 2:03 remaining.
Very important now. That was a good call by Congemi. As you said, he's smart. He understands how to play the game. He's got his 3 years experience. So give the ball to Smelly inside. Keep the ball on the ground to keep the clock running. But, you know, 3 points to them is pretty important now, right now.
Ron Congemi has the experience that Willie Gillis lacks. That undoubtedly prompted the quarterbacking change. He got the play away just in time. Congemi's pass over the middle. That should be a first down. Paul Masadi making the catch.
What you have to like about this, you talk about a lot of guys. 3 receivers wide side of the field, single coverage backside. Masadi on Ian Patterson, full-scale blitz with Scott Flagel coming from the right of your screen. Just step back, calmly throws it down inside. And if Masadi doesn't catch it, nobody does. That is an excellent play by John Congemi and Paul Masadi.
Masadi's first catch of the day for 13 yards. First and 10. The ball is at the 24. Handoff again to Clemens. He cuts back inside. He could score.
Counter play again. Best play they have. He shows you how to run it.
Coming in and on 4 plays takes them for a touchdown. 148 yards this afternoon for Mike Clemens.
The last time he ran the counter for the 44-yard game, he went outside. This time the Ottawa Rough Riders get their linebackers outside to cover him. He cuts right back up inside, takes a little hit, bounces off the goal for a touchdown. I don't know what more you can ask the guy to do today.
Sonic with the point after. 1:10 remaining. He doesn't particularly like the nickname pinball, but he certainly has been bouncing all over the place today.
I just call him Sir. Watch it. The linebackers are outside now, but watch it. Plant that foot. Okay, I'll go back inside. McGowan's outside waiting on him. With Bob Patrick Lane outside. He come in and step to a tackle with him by Scott Slagle. It's over. What a great run.
What a job John Conjemi did coming off the bench to direct that Argo attack with Mike Clemens putting it in the end zone from 24 yards out. And yes, John Matthews, you should congratulate John Conjemi.
That's a great job. When he went on the field, I was thinking they'll make the first down, just kill that clock, keep moving it, then they don't mess around. 4 plays, they put it in the end zone and go up 9 again.
Bounces to Stafford. He takes it up the 10-yard line. Penalty flag in the play. Well, that man, Steve Goldman, has reason to frown. He saw his team pull within 2. There was plenty of time on the clock. It looked as though if they could hold the Argos, they would get the ball back and perhaps be in position to kick a game-winning field goal at worst. But in 4 plays, John Conjemi directed the Argos 84 yards. Mike Clemens with a 44-yard run and a 24-yard touchdown scamper.
You talk about what Ottawa did. They not only scored off, but they get the great kickoff coverage, get them deep, and then Conjemi comes in and hands it to Mike Clemens on a counter. He goes 44, gives to Smelly, throws a great second down effort. They're pass to Masadi, good pass, and then bang, Clemens says, let's end it. He takes it in the end zone.
Damon Allen is going to throw deep for Stephan Jones. He's got it. To the 40-yard line of the Argos with 58 seconds remaining. A 62-yard pass.
No doubt he had no choice. It's too late to start throwing 10-yarders. You just get your rear end back there, look one way, and turn and throw it as far as you can. And watch Stephan Jones outrun Ed Berry, make the catch. 58 seconds left. If he can put it in the end zone on this play, we still got a shot. Why not? Everything else is happening.
First and 10. The ball is at the 40 of the Argos.
Give him time. Give him time.
James Ellington makes the catch. To the 11-yard line with 42 seconds remaining.
Get up and get on the ball. This ain't bad. You know they're going to be in his own defense. He just waits till Ellington clears those linebackers and he splits them, throws it right on the numbers. Ellington takes it down deep, so not over yet either.
2 Argo defenders a little slow in getting back into position with the clock running. On first down, a sideline pattern to Jeff Smith. They credit him with the catch at the 5.
Yeah, but he needs to get in the end zone. Now, it's 28 seconds. They have to have time to have a short kickoff, and it can't be real short because they're going to have a long way to kick the field goal, and they win to win this thing. So they've got to get in the end zone right now.
Again, the clock is running. Movement at the line of scrimmage. The clock down to 21 seconds.
I'm anxious to see who they call on this.
Is it an offside call against Toronto? That would appear to be the initial indication. obvious against Ottawa, procedure call.
That's what I was going to say. I think it's Damon
Procedure. Ottawa number 9. Second down repeated.
I thought it was Damon Allen. When he moved, everybody came. You know, you'll get one guy jumping. What's quarterback? See, when he moved out from behind the center, that brings everybody, because they're coming on a blitz. They've got to be coming. You can't do that, Damon.
At the 10-yard line, it's 2nd and 8. Damon Allen to the end zone for Stephan Jones. He overthrew him.
Ed Berry almost knew that was coming. Ed Berry knew it was coming. He just dropped straight back and forced Stephan Jones to come to him and to get open. Perfect throw into the deep corner of the end zone, but too good a coverage.
So 16 seconds remaining.
Quarterback draw! Down, watch quarterback draw. Quarterback draw! That's okay, but I mean, he's running out of time. Time's his enemy, 16 seconds.
Clock will start when the ball is snapped. Allen is taking a lot of time to get this play underway. He's going to run down the sidelines. He won't get in.
He's back at the 4.5-yard line.
5 seconds remaining. So even if they get this ball in the end zone, I think that'll be the ball game.
Yeah.
They didn't get the first down either.
No, ball turned over. Ball game. Game, set, net.
Damon Allen didn't get the first down as he was ruled out of bounds at the 4.5.
Well, you know, we talked coming into the game. We knew that the Argonauts a big play offensively. And, you know, I thought the Ottawa defense did a great job for them for most of the day. But when they needed it the most, with less than 2 minutes left, Jimmy leads them on a, 84-yard touchdown drive in 4 plays. And, you know, not much you can do about that.
Drops to one knee, taking the clock to 4 seconds remaining.
But now it'll start, so...
And that will take the remaining seconds off the clock. And the Toronto Argonauts will move on to the Eastern Final against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers 1 week from today. And John Congemi celebrates by throwing the ball up into the second level of spectators here at the Skydome. And disappointed Steve Goldman. He had hopes that his team might register an upset today, but the favorite Toronto Argonauts prevail by a score of 34-25. Well, one word describes the Argos' victory over Ottawa on this East semifinal, heart-stopping, and now Mike Riley knows which team he'll face in the East Division Final a week this afternoon in Winnipeg, and it's the Argos. How do you prepare, having seen what you just did?
Well, I think the Argos did a great job today keeping their poise. They lost their first 2 quarterbacks for a while. Gillis came in and did a good job, and then their big guns, Smith and Clemens, came through. I think they did a great job of staying with it and then making the plays to win.
Mike, stay with us if you would. I just want to turn and direct this question to the winning head coach, Don Matthews. Go ahead and describe how you saw that winning touchdown drive assembled basically by John Congemi and Mike Clemens.
Yeah, it was really a gutsy thing. John was, he was still a little woozy. He got dinged, but he said he felt good enough. He says, I can go in and hand it off and make the right calls for the audibles. He's had a little more experience than Willie, and he did that. We gave him some formations, audible, away from where their strength was. And, boy, Mike Clemens just did a great job. Good luck, Damon.
What about next week, Don? Do you know who you can start at quarterback, or is that asking too much of you at this point in time until you assess your injury situation?
Well, I think Ricky Foggy has a chance. We don't know exactly how bad that is, but certainly John Congemi will be ready. So one of those guys, if Ricky can't go, it'll be John Congemi.
All right, Don, congratulations. You can go and spend some time with your team now. We appreciate you joining us. Mike, that does throw a wrinkle into your preparation for next week, not knowing exactly who will start at quarterback. You certainly would prepare your defense in a different way for Ricky Foggy than John Congemi.
Well, there's no doubt about it, but we found that they do basically the same sort of things. It's just that Foggy tends to run a little bit more out of what they do, and of course John executes the other parts of their offense. But they're going to be effective because they got Smith, Clemens, they got some momentum going right now. I know all our guys that were watching today were very interested to see the outcome, and now we can go to work.
Well, you beat them 4 times during the regular schedule. Now you have to do it when it counts.
Well, that's right. You know, and it's going to boil down to one football game. You know, the regular season's over. We're into the playoffs, and we've got a big game to play.
They're beat up, but you've had a week off, and you're healthy.
Well, we're in pretty good shape. I think that most of the guys that were beat up and sore are coming back, and we're getting another chance to have James West back in the lineup, so things are looking up health-wise that way. That's one good thing about the week off for us.
I want to say a final word about the weather. As I said earlier, it was very, very cold, windy in Winnipeg today, and that would suit you just fine if those were the conditions for next week.
Well, you know, not all of our players are into that weather, or they're not from Winnipeg, but we have a character on our team that thinks that we can perform well in that, and I think that does help us. But it's not going to be nice, that's for sure, and so the team that handles that part of it the best has the best chance to win.
Well, let's put it this way. You'd rather play it there than in the Sky Dome.
Let's play there. We earned that right, and we're glad to have them come to town.
All right, thank you, Mike, and we appreciate having had you with us as our guest analyst today. Stay with us. The CFL on CBC returns to the Sky Dome in just a moment. So the high-scoring Argos were not quite bad in victory over Ottawa today, but they certainly scored enough points to justify their role as favorites in this East Division semifinal, albeit in the face of a whole lot of injuries. But to the victor goes the spoils, and in this case, it's an all-expense-paid trip to Winnipeg for the Argos to challenge the Bombers in the East Division final. 1 week this afternoon, the result of this win over Ottawa today. Also a week today, the West final goes in Calgary. The Stampeders, who finished first in the West for the first time in 19 years, are waiting for either Saskatchewan or Edmonton. Join us next Sunday for the West Final. Thanks for watching. So long from the Sky Dome.